after the Garifuna people had been exiled, those who remain here has a very hard time. I think they managed to hide themselves, you know, until the abolition of slavery. So lots of them were so frightened that they don't even want to speak their language to their children. There's a stigma. People start saying the Caribbean, stupid. Some of these people used to deny the fact that they were Garifuna. I had this thing in me. No, this thing can't be true. I need to know more, you know? Yeah. The space left and number represent land belonging to the crown. The trace mark A, B, C, D, and E are land granted to the Caribs. This map now clearly shows all these land were granted to the Caribs. They were also sold in a market in London. So people in London bought these land, although they was granted already to the Caribs.
What's this?
This actually shows the owners of the lands, the names who own the lands.
The Caribs who owned it?
No, these are English names, right? So what happened is people who buy the land in London actually buy the people who are living on the land too.
How do you know this history?
Every year I travel London. In my spare time, I spend it in the National Archive in London, looking for information in relation to the Garifuna people.
Some of the dances and some facts about the Garifuna culture and things like that. Yeah. I know some of the music too, the drumming, the singing. It actually helps us to not forget where we're from and who we are.
We are looking for lots of information, culturally, music, dance, and we normally be on the net all the time. You know, instead of watching movies and things like that, I am now to take in lots of this Garifuna information. That's what I am doing right now, preparing my kids them for that journey, the journey to recover our heritage and culture.
Do you still experience discrimination?
Well, yes, I do. I go to school sometimes and people say, look, that's a Caribbean.
So they make fun of you like that?
Yeah, they do.
Today?
Like, in these times, yeah.
Yes.
They do.
Okay.
Over the years, the people who now live on St. Vincent knew very little of those who were exiled. The word Garifuna is virtually completely new to us. It is only within recent times that anybody has been able to reconnect. But the food, the cassava, survived.
How long have you been making cassava?
Long time, many years.
How'd you learn?
By my own self. By my own self.
Yeah.
I plant, I reap, I scrape, and I wring. Now we turn it into the bread.
my first time making cassava.
For true?
Yeah. My
Really?
first time.
Really?
Original good food.
All this cassava baking and stuff is just to be part of the fundraising for tomorrow.
What's tomorrow?
National Heroes Day.
Take your time.
Nomari?
Of the
Ya está. Ya llegó a su punto.
273 of
¿Quieres subir a un punto, Nomari?
we must reach Right Excellent Joseph Chatelier, Chief of the Garifuna people. And let us not mince words. Genocide by the British. Let us not mince words. If you had the International Criminal Court, then those fellas would have been
Oh, Lord.
Sorry about that. James Lovell, could you give me host privilege? You know. Okay, so just have I think 5 more minutes of that clip, and then we'll have our next speaker. So Louisa. Okay. Let me go back and share the screen. Let me do that. Let me do that. Okay. All right. So you seeing this, Miss Bennett? So you see my screen? Okay. Let me just go back a little bit.
I would really like the day come when we had this sense of pride. We could dance our dance on the street. We could sing our songs, our traditional songs. I would like the day when those who are exiled and those who live in here see ourselves as a nation of people, the Garifuna nation, the Kalinago nation, Yurume, our homeland.
He was my great uncle. Caribbean. Yeah, the Garifuna type. He fight off the white man with the one.
So we signed that peace treaty, declaring us owners of our lands. Saint Vincent. Yurume, Wabia bara wagia garina. And after several wars, attacks on our dignity, attacks on our men, attacks on our women, attacks on our children. And finally, we shook their blood-dripping hands. But lust and greed, we Garinagu forgot to take heed. And so we were shipped beyond. Living in the exile, yeah. Whoa, living in the
Okay. After that, it's hard to pick up from there. But any questions, perhaps, that we could entertain? Meanwhile, we have the lunch break, musical interlude from the Levels. One question I have, and I think Brother James might be able to help me with this. I wanted to make contact with Nixon Lewis, the guy who had the maps on the after the treaty was signed between the Caribs and the British. I wonder if Nixon Lewis is still in Irume. Anybody knows? Brother James?
No, I don't really know who Nixon is, Shaka.
Can you hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, he's from Irume. Nixon Lewis is from Irume. But brothers and sisters, the expression that has been used was that we were in exile. But very recently now we have decided to use the term that we were actually, our ancestors actually experienced genocide. And for some people, it's becoming difficult to use the word that we experienced genocide. I don't know what the issue is with that word, but we did experience genocide at the hand of the British. Anybody have any questions or want to add to that? Meanwhile, we have Brother James prepare for the musical interlude.
Okay, I guess we're ready, Brother Egbert.
Okay, so good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, to all our listeners, this is the our break interlude, so that you can take a time to go eat something, walk around, enjoy yourself, at the same time listening to some Garifuna music. And this first song is entitled Nibari, and Nibari means my grandchild. And it is coming from Sofia Blanco, the lady who was singing she's from Guatemala. And this is also from the Garifuna Woman Project that was produced by Stone Tree Record in Belize. And it goes like this. Yes, that was Nibari, my grandchild, done by Sofia Blanco from Guatemala, Stone Tree Records, Garifuna Woman Project. The next song is Afayahadina. Afayahadina means I have traveled. And this is going also recorded by Stone Tree, but it's coming from Chela Torres, a Garifuna singer via Honduras who lives in Belize presently. It goes like this.
Hey, James, we can't hear you. We don't hear the music, James. Hey, James, we don't hear the music. Okay, that was Chela Torres. Okay, that was Chela Torres. Afayahadina, I have traveled. Now the next song is coming via Sylvia Blanco, Barubana Yagi, and it means take me away. Barubana Yagi.
You got it. You got it. You know, we're featuring Garifuna women and celebrating of Garifuna month, Women's Month. Sorry about that. So now Sylvia Blanco, she was singing, take me away from here. Give me luck. She's seeking luck. Take me away, give me life. She's seeking life. Like all women, you know, the backbone of society, you know, they're doing everything they're doing so that the culture can survive. So the next song is Luwuburi Sigala, and it means the hills of Tegucigalpa. And this is going by Marcelina Fernandez Guiti. Here we go. Yes. Marcelina Fernandez Guiti, Luwuburi Sigala, the hills of Tegucigalpa. I have called my voices. I have looked around. Where are my people? I am seeking assistance. Luwuburi Sigala. Next song is Liru Biganute. And it stands for sad news. It's coming via Julia Nunez. Here we go. Liru Biganyute, Sad News, Julia Nunez. Okay, and the next song is Sengu Lirahi Nuhabu. Sengu Lirahi Nuhabu. My Five Fingers. And my Five Fingers, yes, and it's coming via Georgette Lambe, Sengu Lirahi Nuhabu.
Ashley Home Store's ultimate event ends Monday. Get 0% interest for 72 months on select Tempur-Pedic and Beauty Rest Black Mat.
Yes, Sangalirangi Nuhabu, My Five Fingers, Georgette Lambe. The next song, Lufuluri Papa, Lufuluri Papa, My Father's Flowers, Georgette Lambe. Yes, Lufuluri Papa, Georgette Lambe. And I can also hear Nuru Ellis giving her, working with her as a duo. Now the next song is Warasa Garifuna by Asiatic, no other than Asiatic. Yes, Garifuna Nuguya goes to Asiatic. Warasa Garifuna, our race Garifuna. what's happening, my people? Our culture is so beautiful. Do not forget how beautiful our culture is. Let us love ourselves. Let's speak our language. Malubuidum, Maliseme, Warasa, Asiatic. Now, Suna Numati by Andy Palacio, late great Andy. Suna Numati.
Suna Numate, Suna Numate, Suna Numate, Suna Numate, Akapapana Bunguania, Akapapana Bunguakase, Bilitikosa, Nabosero, Bebuni, Mari Baba, Akapapana Bunguania, Akapapana Bunguania, Akapapana Bunguakase, Bilitikosa, Nabosero, Bebuni, Mari Baba, Akapapana Bunguania, Sunanu Mate, Sunanu Mate, Sunanu Mate, Sunanu Mate, Akapapana Bunguanira, Akapapana Bunguakase, Bilitikosa, Nabosero, Bebuni, Mari Baba, Akapapana Bunguanira.
Yes. Andy Palacio, Suna Numate, Arengabun. I have told you everything that I know. I have told you everything that I know, my daughter, my son, and all I want is everything good for you. Suna Numati, Arengabun, Andy Palacio. Now, we're gonna go with Nuguchu, Lloyd Augustine, Nuguchu.
Thank you.
Yes, 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 yes. Lloyd Augustine, Nuguchu. I dreamt my mother in the song, Lloyd is saying, this is a traditional song, and he is saying, in my dream, my mother came to me and she told me to give me a mass. And because if you don't give me this mass, I will not be saved. So basically that's in a nutshell, that's what the song is talking about. Lloyd Augustine, Nuguchu. Now this next song is coming from Gui, Garifuna.
Haven't seen her. I tried to.
Yes. Ability home. Yes. Garifuna na. That's coming from Gui. Some people don't know who I am. So I'm here to tell them who I am. My mother is a Garifuna, my father is a Garifuna, my grandmother and my grandfather are Garifuna, so I am a Garifuna. That's coming, Garifuna na from Gui. The next song is entitled, it's a grating song. This is when the Garifuna women gather to bake cassava and they're gonna sing something like this. Yes, yes, yes. Grating cassava. Grating cassava, it's a lot of work. So what the women do so that it can go, the work can go by fast, they start singing, having fun. And when you look, gumuha ereba, you can eat some ereba cassava. The next song is Aguyuha Niduhenyu. Aguyuha Niduhenyu, Andy Palacio and Reckless Flores. Yes, yes, yes. My people have moved on. My people have moved on. Agu Yohani Duheyu, Andy Palacio, and Reckless Flores. The next song. Okay, we're gonna come to you live with Mama Niduru Lira. Mama Niduru, and it goes like this. Yes, yes, yes. Mama Niduru, it's not my fault. Quit blaming me. It's not my fault. This next song is entitled Yurume, and it's by Georgette Lambe. Okay. I hope you enjoyed your selections, these selections of music. And back to Egbert Ahenio.
Thank you, Brother James. Thank you very much for the rendition. Appropriate to end with Yurume after we showed that movie, that documentary on Yurume. And I want to say from the Garifuna Nation, President of the Garifuna Nation, myself, Happy International Women's Day. Happy International Women's Day. And in a couple of days too, we'll be in Yurume celebrating the 8th International Garifuna Conference in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Cynthia, are you there?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am, Egbert.
All right, so Ingrid is on and Lena Martinez is on. Over to you.
Wonderful. So, good afternoon, everyone. Lena, you are there, right? Miss Lena?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
hello,
wonderful.
hello.
Hi, beautiful, beautiful sister. Happy Women's Day. Where it is appropriate, for translation. I'll ask for your assistance because not all of us speak all the languages fluently, although we all know the language of love and the language of beautiful Garifuna women. I want to thank you, Sister Lena, for being so kind as to support my cousin. Ingrid is my cousin. We're all related,
We are all related, yes.
All related. So I'm here in the beautiful town of Piney, PG, Punta Gorda. I was in Barranco this morning, and because of the internet facilities, I wanted to make sure that it flowed. So sisters who are on and brothers, that's why I was missing this morning, but we'll be here fully, staying at Bea Suites, hosted by Darius Avila and family, awesome people. Darius, the convener of the Battle of the Drums, which is a beautiful experience for our people where the drums speak their own language. So, Sister Lena, are you prepared to introduce Ingrid? You have her background, her bio. If not, well, we have that as well. But are you prepared to do that? I'm just checking.
I don't have the presentation with me or her bio, so I will translate literally what you share with us, or what she shares with us. Bienvenida, Ingrid, a nuestra reunión. Estamos ya pues esperándola y expectantes. Yo voy a ser tu traductora oficial al inglés y la información que tú pongas, la que compartas con nosotros, pues yo lo voy a ir compartiendo también.
Okay, Ingrid understands English, right, Ingrid? Usted entiende inglés suficiente, ¿sí?
Un poco. Y yo te mandé mi presentación, prima. Yo te envié la presentación, mándeselo a Lina.
Yes, I got it. I got your presentation, but it's fine. We are moving with the flow. This is a sacred space. This is not a United Nations conference, right? This is a Garifuna Indigenous Women, Indigenous People sacred space where we be ourselves, right? It's no lot of formality or excuses or nothing like that, right? I feel your heart and you feel my heart. I'll tell a little story about Ingrid. I went there one day. I ended up, I think it was Livingston or La Buga, and there was Ingrid waiting for me. I didn't know that she was going to meet me, and she didn't know that she was going to meet me, but we met one another and we knew that we were related, and that's how the spirit works, right? That is how the spirit works. And the time has come for us, the time has come for us to connect. And before we connect, Sister Ingrid, antes de conectar, I want to talk my kitchen Spanish and my kitchen Garifuna, is everything we want to give respect and remember Sister Esmeralda Brown. See? Nuestra compañera Esmeralda. Esmeralda was one of the women from Panama who brought us together, women of the Americas, right? Black, African, indigenous women. I don't want us to begin without remembering that sister who gave her life for this kind of work, addressing the issue, the racismo in Las Americas. Some Spanish you go. You know?
No, así es.
So,
eso, ahí va.
Great. See? And the last time we met in New York, right? I met Colegio de Medgar Evers, ¿sí? Para discutir la situación de los pobres, gente de Américas, indígenas y Garifuna, ¿sí?
Yeah.
Right.
Exacto.
Beautiful. So I'm going to ask you, Ingrid, to just introduce yourself in your best way. Who are you? And then I will ask Sister Lena to continue translating, traducir y continuar. And I really want to dedicate this session to our ancestors, to my grandmother, your grandmother, our people, because we are here because of them on this International Women's Day. The last time I went to La Buga, we just show up, right? And you were not there, Ingrid, but it didn't matter because you just show up and our people surround us. And the word they say is Neduhe. And I felt so much love and they took care of us. And that is the spirit. Ese es el espíritu de Garifuna Duo. All right?
Well, listen, yeah, okay. Gracias, prima, gracias.
All right, gracias a Dios. So I'm going to ask them for you to begin and share whatever you wish about yourself and also the topic we've asked you to speak about, which is the health and wellness issues of the Garifuna women and whatever else you may wish to speak about. Please say who you are and where you are from, because you are the first presence from Guatemala that we have had in the Garifuna Nation conversation so far.
Okay. Ya lo veo. Ok. Muy buenas tardes. Muchas gracias, prima Cintia, por invitarme a participar en esta importante conferencia. Yo soy Ingrid Gamboa. Mi nombre completo es Ingrid Alicia Gamboa González. Soy garífuna, nacida aquí en Livingston, Guatemala. Tengo 59 años. Tuve la dicha y el honor de nacer acá, de vivir acá, de trabajar acá, de jubilarme acá y de estar trabajando con mi comunidad en todos los niveles. Trabajo de manera comunitaria dentro de la comunidad.
Okay, one moment. Give us a chance so Ms. Lina can translate, please.
Okay, very good. Gracias, Ingrid. So she says that her name is Ingrid Alicia Gamboa, and she's 59 years old. She's from Livingston, Guatemala, and she has been living in Guatemala all this time, and she has been retired, and she lives in the same place. She said she has always worked doing community work, community enrichment, and that she's very proud to be a Garifuna woman.
Yeah, gracias. Mi madre me decía siempre que teníamos familiares en Belize. De hecho, cuando tenía como 8 o 9 años por ahí, yo recuerdo muy bien que cada año, para el 19th en Belize, se hacía excursión de aquí en un barco. Atravesábamos el mar para llegar hasta Dangriga, Belice, para ir a reencontrarnos con nuestra familia, que en su momento, pues entonces la abuela se casó con alguien de Belice y emigró para Belice y ahí quedó, pero nunca dejó de hablar, de mencionarle a sus hijos que tenía allá en Belice, que aquí en Guatemala tenía sus familias. De igual manera, las de aquí nunca dejaron de mencionarnos que teníamos familias allá. Así que había intercambio de viajes cada año, una vez al año. En noviembre viajábamos aquí, hacíamos la travesía de una semana en barco para llegar allá y hermanarnos con la familia.
She said when she was very young, her grandma and her mom told her that they have family in Belize. So every year they would prepare to go to Belize, and she said the trip will take her a whole week to reach there. But every year, for at least 1 week, they would go for the 19th in November. And she said that the family in Belize always knew they had family in Guatemala. And the family in Guatemala always knew that they had family in Belize. And she says that everyone knew they were one.
Yeah. Y esa familia que visitábamos, la que yo recuerdo, 2 personas que recuerdo muy bien, es la madre de Cynthia, ¿verdad? Mi tía, y Simon Smith, que es el tío de Cynthia. O sea, son mi familia cercanos allá en Belice. Algo muy importante que quiero resaltar acá en esta conferencia, que muy particular, es cómo nosotros los garífunas vivimos en nuestras comunidades el Garifuna Duo que hoy queremos rescatar.
Okay, déjame traducir ahorita. She said that her family members in Belize are Simon and Cynthia's mom. She said she remembers those 2 people being part of her family. And today she really wants to emphasize during her presentation about Garifuna Duo, about how people live in their communities.
Yeah. Esto de ir a convivir con la familia o sea, mantenía ese hilo de parentesco, esa comunicación, ese apoyo mutuo, eso de que yo estoy aquí para ti, tú para mí. Entendí mucho en aquella etapa de mi vida, cuando sí podíamos, aún sin trabajo formal, aún sin negocio, pero nuestras familias hacían lo posible de reunir centavo por centavo para poder hacer esa travesía, ese viaje tan largo, que era muy caro, era muy caro, pero para sentirnos hermanados y darnos fuerza, darnos energía, decirnos, bueno, estamos vivos todavía, vamos a continuar, o ponernos al día con la noticia, quién de la familia había fallecido, qué pasó en esa temporada.
So she said that it was very important to be able to go to visit the families in Belize. And she said that at that time, they didn't have any business. They didn't have like a full-time job to do savings. So they would save cent by cent in order to make the money to be able to travel. And once they were together, she said how everyone was concerned about who passed away, who got sick, and who is moving ahead. And that sharing of between two countries and families that visit each other at least once a year, and how they were so together and so in one spirit.
Pero cuando la modernidad y las necesidades en nuestras comunidades aparecen mucho más grande, digo esto porque después de ello ya no pudimos viajar. Yo, esa parte de mi infancia, mi adolescencia, juventud y todo, ya no viajé más a Belice, ya no pudimos viajar. ¿Pero por qué ya no pudimos viajar? Porque nuestras vidas empezaron a cambiar, tanto las de allá como las de aquí. Nuestras necesidades empezaron a crecer, ¿verdad? Nuestra visión empezó a crecer. ¿Y qué teníamos que hacer como pueblo, como mujeres en la comunidad para poder estar enfrentando estas nuevas realidades que teníamos?
She says that as time passed by, things began to change. And now we are in these modern times. She says that also the needs began to grow. And family began to change in a way where they could not visit each other anymore. So she misses those teenage years when she was a child, and then in her early years, she said she misses that. But now with things going on and things have changed, it's not easy for them. They stopped going to do those 1 week family visit to Belize because now the demands are greater.
Entonces empecé a trabajar en este lapso de tiempo, pues preparándome académicamente, empecé a trabajar porque necesitaba mejorar la calidad de vida de mi madre, que yo soy la última hija de mi madre. Entonces, este tipo de actividades empezó a limitarnos para poder ir a visitar a la familia. Tenemos que concentrarnos a trabajar por lo que necesitábamos en la comunidad. Entonces, es así como hace 38 años empecé a trabajar en el centro de salud. Era la única Garifuna que estaba trabajando ahí porque era la única que tenía capacidad en aquel momento, 1981, acá en Livingston, para poder trabajar en el sistema de salud. Y estuve trabajando.
She said that she started to work, and she worked for the health system for 38 years. And she prepared herself to be able to become a professional in that field. She also said that she was the last one of her siblings. She was like the baby, she said. So she decided that she was going to work real hard, and she decided to make it to prepare herself in the health field. Muy bien, puedes avanzar.
Ya. Y uno va aprendiendo en el camino del sistema, entendiendo el mundo, cómo funciona, viviendo en el tema de la estigma y discriminación, viviendo en la falta de muchas oportunidades por ser mujer, por ser garífuna. Pero esto, con el tiempo, es que uno lo iba entendiendo conforme uno se estaba planteando muchos retos y desafíos para avanzar en la vida.
So she said that she went through a lot of challenges because even though she was in her hometown, she was still discriminated. And she learned to fight against that. She fight in order to be within those who who made decisions, those who were important in the community, and that caused her to be discriminated many times.
En esto llega la pandemia del SIDA a la comunidad, una pandemia que no conocíamos, una enfermedad que estaba matando, entró matando a nuestra comunidad. Murieron muchos familiares, muchos amigos. Esto algo que no sabíamos qué era, en una comunidad en donde solo habían aspirinas para atender la fiebre, y esto complejo qué era.
So she said that meanwhile she was working, a pandemic showed up, and this is the AIDS pandemic back in the mid-80s. And she said it came and it killed a lot of families, a lot of Garifuna people. We didn't know how to handle it. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know where it came from. But the only thing that she knew is that it was really killing our Garifuna people in the community.
Entonces ahí nace ante el miedo, ante el dolor, ahí me nace la inquietud de investigar qué es lo que estaba pasando en mi comunidad, porque así como con el ritmo con que iban las muertes.
So she said that even though she was afraid, even though she wanted to know what was going on in the community, she decided to start doing her own research to find out what is going on with the community, what is going on with our people, that they were dying of AIDS.
En esta investigación me llevó casi alrededor de 8 años. Todo el mundo tenía miedo porque teníamos miedo, no sabíamos qué era eso. El sistema de salud no atendía los problemas de la comunidad. Se morían, inventaban cualquier cosa. Es más, la estigma y discriminación aumentó más en contra de la población garífuna, ¿verdad? En cuanto a la temática del VIH-Sida, que era SIDA en aquel momento, no era VIH, pero no hacía investigación. No hacía investigación y teníamos que estar enterrando a nuestros seres queridos cada semana, todos los días, velorios, y era un problema caos.
There were a lot of deaths. Every week somebody would die. Every day somebody would die. And she started to do her research that took her 8 years. Meanwhile, in the community, as people were dying, the government and everybody was indifferent to the case, and they were not worried about why people were dying. And that's why Ingrid started to do her own research that took her 8 years.
Pero en eso llega aquí unos aliados, que se llama Médicos Sin Fronteras, que estaban trabajando, fortaleciendo el sistema de salud en Livingston. Yo empiezo a hablarles a ellos lo que estaba pasando, ¿verdad? Y me dicen que podían apoyar para poder atender el tema de SIDA aquí en Livingston, porque lo estaban haciendo en África. Entonces, ahí es donde yo empiezo.
So she said that she was so concerned about it, and someone came into the community and they called Doctors Without Borders. So she spoke to them about the situation and they became interested in helping. So they did offer help because they were working with African communities. So that's when she started to tell them about what was going on in the Garifuna community.
Entonces, 10 años después de esta tragedia que nos estaba quejando, se abre la primera clínica por esta incidencia con Médicos Sin Fronteras y empezamos a atender a la población. Todavía seguían las muertes. ¿Estás ahí, Lina?
So 10 years later is when the first clinic was opened in order for the Garifuna people to have a place to go, a clinic to go, to have a diagnosis done. And that's when the help came. What Ingrid also said is that meanwhile, people continue to die. They continue to die every week, every day. They had someone that would die from AIDS in the community.
¿Pero por qué morían la gente? Porque tenían miedo, estábamos muy estigmatizados, no entendíamos todavía la situación. Había que educar muy fuertemente a la población que no era brujería, que no era absolutamente nada de lo que pensaban, sino que había que aceptar que era esa enfermedad y ya había tratamiento por acá. Pero este lapso para educar a las personas nos llevó casi 4 o 5 años, que las personas entendieran que el problema estaba y empezaran a tomar su tratamiento.
So she says that it took a lot of time for our community to understand the situation because they they had a lot of fear within them. There was so much fear because they didn't know what it was and how it was coming. So she said that it took another additional 5 years in order to educate the community. After 5 years of teaching them and being close to them, they began slowly to understand what was coming on.
Y después de esos 5 años que la comunidad empezó a aceptar que existe el SIDA, ya asistían a la clínica, ya están tomando su medicamento. Muy importante poder mencionar que a partir del 2008, lo tenemos bien marcado, empezó a bajar considerablemente la tasa de mortalidad en la comunidad garífuna, los nuevos infectados en la comunidad garífuna, porque ya habíamos educado a la población hasta este momento.
So she said that it was not until 2008 when the rates began to slow down and to being reduced. And she said that 2008 was the marking date when we were able to see that it was reducing, the mortality rate was reducing because people were more informed. They were able to take their medication and they were willing to go to the clinic themselves and get help. So this made the difference and everything began to change in 2008.
El 80% de mi activismo lo he dedicado para la atención y prevención del VIH en la comunidad garífuna y se ha logrado el objetivo.
80% of the work that I do has to do with helping the Garifuna community in reducing this rate. And we have seen results.
El resto sería el 20% lo he distribuido en otras incidencias, en otro apoyo para el fortalecimiento, para el empoderamiento de la comunidad garífuna, específicamente de la mujer.
So the other 20%, she says she uses to do other activities, which include to empower women and includes more activities in order to help the community come out of the situation where they are, especially women.
Entiendo de que en la academia es muy importante. Sabemos que nuestra historia es oral, pero para que esto pueda continuar y que otras poblaciones valoricen el aporte, la riqueza, la grandeza de la mujer y del pueblo garífuna, hicimos un convenio con la Universidad de San Carlos para que existiera una cátedra de mujeres garífunas y afrodescendientes, que esto se hizo en el marco del inicio del Decenio Internacional de los Afrodescendientes.
Okay, so she said that it is important for us also to be able to have incidents in the educational field. Therefore, they made an agreement with the University of San Carlos of Guatemala that they would have a class about women and their empowerment and their contribution to the Garifuna community. ¿En qué año fue ese con el convenio que se hizo?
En el 2014.
That was 2014 when they started to teach this class in the university of that she mentioned. ¿Cómo se llama la universidad?
Universidad de San Carlos de Guatemala.
University of San Carlos of Guatemala. That's where they're teaching this specific class about Garifuna women.
Exacto. Y hemos nutrido esa cátedra para que los alumnos a nivel universitario aprueben y sepan realmente el aporte de la mujer garífuna a lo largo de los años aquí en este país.
And she said that she has nurtured this class because it is important that everyone knows the contribution of the Garifuna women to her community. And she makes sure that they understand what we call our identity. She didn't mention that word, but that's what she meant. So they would know where we come from and where we are today.
Entendiendo también por la misma línea que no solamente tenemos que estar haciendo trabajo comunitario, tenemos que ir más allá en otro nivel para poder posesionar nuestros derechos y acciones a favor de valga la redundancia, a favor de nuestros derechos para mejorar la calidad de vida de nosotras mismas y de las futuras generaciones. Entonces,
she says it is also important to go beyond the community in order for us to be able to bring and do more for us, let everyone know who we are, and for also to gain like new spaces where our voices will be heard and they should know more about us.
En el 2011 precisamente antes, un 7 de marzo del 2011, iniciamos el proceso para la construcción de una agenda política de la mujer garífuna y afrodescendiente de este país.
So in 2007, she said they started a new agenda in order for them to discuss about Garifuna women and how they would progress in Guatemala.
Con 9 ejes para acciones, de tal manera que consideramos que esto, si se cumplen esos 9 ejes, si se realizan esos 9 ejes, vamos a tener una mejor calidad de vida y las futuras generaciones.
So they have 9 action plans that they have included in this initiative that she had. And if we go ahead and do those 9 actions, we're going to see a lot of progress.
Uno de los ejes el primero es educación.
The first one is education.
Segundo es salud.
Health.
Tercero es recursos naturales y vivienda. Tierra también, tenemos que resguardar eso.
Natural resources, land and housing is the third one.
El cuarto es productividad y desarrollo. Tenemos que producir y desarrollar.
Productivity and development is 4.
El quinto es nuestra seguridad. Es importante mantener la seguridad en la comunidad para no perturbar la paz.
The fifth one is security, community security. So they will have peace in their communities.
Una columna vertebral para nuestra ejecución como pueblo garífuna está la espiritualidad. También tenemos este eje ahí. ¿Sí?
So crossing all these actions, we also have spirituality, Garifuna spirituality.
Yeah. Número 7, tenemos la cultura. No podemos dejar a un lado todo el componente de lo que somos, ¿verdad? Como pueblo.
We have culture because we have to go back to our identity and know whom we are.
Número 8 es la incidencia política. Debemos participar en la vida política para estar en puesto de toma de decisiones.
The next one is political incidence. So we'll be in positions where we could make decisions.
Y como pueblo indígena, el último eje es la institucionalidad del pueblo garífuna, en donde aquí demandamos contar con un presupuesto específico para el pueblo garífuna, de tal manera que nosotras podamos ejecutar ese presupuesto que el gobierno, pues históricamente, hay una deuda histórica de parte del gobierno para con el pueblo garífuna.
And the ninth one is institutionality, which means that there is a budget that is given to the government of Guatemala where he has to assign funds in order to execute the other 8 actions that they need to do.
Y entonces esta agenda política, que es nuestra herramienta política como mujeres garífunas y afrodescendientes, afroguatemaltecas en este momento, fue aprobado en asamblea el 25 de julio del año 2019 con la presencia de ejecutivos del gobierno, que en su momento estaba la licenciada Olivia Núñez como comisionada presidencial contra el racismo y discriminación. Ella abanderó este proceso, es una garífuna, una hermana garífuna. Entonces es así como hemos posicionado esta agenda política en las diferentes instituciones del Estado.
Okay, so this political agenda has been positioned in the different government offices within Guatemala. And this was approved in July 2019. And there was another Garifuna who is part of the government who participated along with Ingrid. This was in July 2019.
Yeah. Entonces, yo creo que esta presentación mía lo estoy haciendo en honor o alusivo a 2 compañeras hondureñas que fueron apresadas, fueron metidas a la cárcel por defender sus territorios, ¿verdad? Y esto es a nombre de Marianela Solórzano y Jennifer. Son compañeras de lucha que no solamente aquí en Guatemala tengo presencia de hermanar, de acompañar procesos en defensa de los derechos humanos de las comunidades garífunas, sino que también yo viajo a Honduras, a diferentes lugares de Centroamérica.
So today she said she's participating with us, but she's really giving this presentation to support Marianela and Jennifer, who are 2 young ladies that they were imprisoned, I think it was at the beginning of, it was last week in Honduras. And she says that Gamboa said that she's always there to support our community, our people, especially our women, politically and in any other way that the things that we go through in our communities all the time. So she says, Marianela and Jennifer have been very strong women who were prisoned for defending their lands.
Hace más de 30 años, el problema de la plaga del VIH-Sida llegó a nuestra comunidad a perturbar nuestra tranquilidad. Ahora, yo creo que es algo que está pasando no solamente en Honduras, igual aquí en Guatemala, me imagino que Belice también. Hay una amenaza latente sobre nuestras tierras y nuestros territorios.
So she said, 30 years ago, we were threatened by AIDS, HIV, she said, against our community. But today, she said, we're still receiving all type of threats for defending our land or for wanting to, because we resist of leaving our lands. So now we are also facing all other types of threats.
Y quienes nos atrevemos a defender nuestras tierras heredadas por nuestros ancestros, somos criminalizadas, somos judicializadas y sobre todo somos asesinados, que es lo que está pasando con las hermanas en Honduras, que duele mucho, se siente mucha impotencia ante esa persecución, porque lo que pasa en Honduras nos puede pasar a nosotros aquí en Guatemala, puede pasar en Belice o está pasando en Nicaragua o en cualquier lugar donde estamos habitando.
She said, because these women are defending their territory, their land, they are persecuted and they are assassinated in our communities, men and women also, right? But she said this is not just happening in Honduras. It could happen in Guatemala. It could happen in Nicaragua. In any other countries, it could happen because they could take us to jail or they could kill us. They threaten us in all different ways. So we're being attacked in all different ways, politically and in our homes.
Por lo tanto, lo que ocurre en otros países con los hermanos y las hermanas garífunas, yo también estoy ahí desde mi espacio apoyando, porque es importante también esa participación, ese apoyo, aunque no presencial, pero fundamental que enviemos nuestras energías para poder acompañar los procesos de nuestros hermanos, de nuestras hermanas garífunas. Y yo desde aquí pues estuve apoyando todo ese proceso, también manifestándome en contra de la arbitrariedad que estaban cometiendo en contra de las compañeras. Justo ayer las dejaron en libertad, pero no es libertad, porque entonces ellas todavía siguen estando presas en sus casas, porque todo con medidas sustitutivas. Cualquier momento puede revertirse esto.
So Ingrid is sharing with us today that even though she's in Guatemala, she's really helping everyone in all the Garifuna communities because she knows what goes on in the different countries and she follows with what is going on. And she would always give a voice. She would always manifest against the things that are happening in our communities. And so she feels that she's supporting everything that is going on in our communities. And yesterday, these two ladies were left, they said, in freedom, right? They're not in jail anymore. But at the same time, they're being followed, they're being persecuted in their communities. Therefore, we have to keep an eye on them. And we have to follow up on what is coming into all of our communities. And Ingrid says that it doesn't matter that she is just in Guatemala. She follows and she supports all the activities in all other countries and communities, Garifuna communities.
Y esa es parte de mi incidencia, puedo decir, fuera de fronteras. ¿Ya? Sigo siendo garífuna, no, yo soy de acá, pero me siento, cuando yo llego a una comunidad garífuna, no soy de Guatemala, yo soy garífuna en este momento, yo estoy ahí y me encanta mucho hacer esta labor. De igual manera, retrocedo ahora de la actividad que yo realizo el 80% de mi tiempo, que es la prevención del VIH, porque consideramos que no podemos esperar que la nueva generación se infecte con el virus. Y por lo tanto, nuestra línea de intervención ahora siempre es educación sobre cómo prevenir las infecciones de transmisión sexual, VIH y SIDA en la comunidad.
So she says that she wants to go back to the 80% of her efforts going with AIDS prevention. And she does that through education, educating our community, telling them how they could prevent any of these diseases. And she's happy to be able to help our communities in this sense.
Y por eso es que nuestra oficina aquí en Livingston, tenemos una oficina, está abierto desde el año 2008 para la comunidad, en donde ofrecemos pruebas gratis de VIH para que la comunidad, la persona pueda saber si tienen o no tienen el VIH, distribuimos condones, ¿verdad? Tenemos unos aliados que creen en el trabajo que estamos haciendo y gracias a ellos, AIDS Health Care Foundation es nuestro aliado, que es el que nos paga un médico en la clínica, tenemos un médico, tenemos una enfermera que está atendiendo los casos que se diagnostican, aunque son casos ya aislados.
Okay, she says that the clinic in Guatemala, in Livingston, it opened in 2008, and it continues to provide services to the community. They do prevention, they have condoms, and they have a full-time doctor and a full-time nurse providing services to the community. And part of that is done with the help of other organizations who pay for the doctor and for the nurse's salary.
Bien, por último, soy vicepresidenta de la ONECA. Por alguna razón es que nuestra organización es miembro de la ONECA. La ONECA tiene más de 23 años de estar trabajando. Es la única organización transfronteriza que, si bien es cierto, sin recursos, pero sigue siendo la voz de la comunidad negra de Centroamérica, también demandando igualdad de derechos, respeto a nuestros derechos humanos, a nuestros derechos territoriales como afrodescendientes de Centroamérica.
Ingrid is also the vice president of ONECA, which is a Central American organization. She says they don't have a lot of funds, but they still work towards protecting the rights of the communities, right, of the Black community. And she is part of. She says even though they don't have like a lot of funds, they still have a voice that is very important for us. And she's proud to be part of that organization. And that's why she says that being the vice president, and that's why Guatemala and her activities in her organization is part of ONECA.
También he sido representante titular de mi pueblo en dos periodos consecutivos ante el gobierno, ante el Estado de Guatemala, pero es un puesto político sin remuneración, ¿verdad? Lo hice para apoyar y defender también los derechos de mi pueblo en su momento.
During 2 periods, she also was part of the government locally in Livingston. And she said that it was a position that she had with the government with no pay. So she was doing it to represent her community because she knows that that is important and that she has a calling to do so.
Durante ese tiempo, aprovechando este poder político que mi pueblo me dio, entendí de que la comunidad garífuna acá en Livingston ya somos diversos. Aquí han venido a vivir y se han quedado a apropiarse de nuestro territorio otros pueblos. Y yo vi fundamental que tenemos que posesionar nuestra historia, porque Marcos Sánchez Díaz fundó esta comunidad. Es un pueblo territorialmente garífuna, aunque hayan otros viviendo acá. Entonces, ante la compostura del monumento alusivo a Marcos Sánchez Díaz, fundador de esta comunidad, gestioné para que hubiese un día municipal del fundador de Livingston, que es el 21 de noviembre. Desde el año 2015 empezó a funcionar esto. ¿Qué significa esto? Que todos los que estén viviendo aquí en este territorio sepan que el fundador de esta comunidad, de este pueblo, es un garífuna y se llama Marcos Sánchez Díaz.
Okay, so she's telling us now that she had this political position. She learned that Livingston was funded by a Garifuna person. His name is Marcos Diaz, and they have a monument of him in Guatemala. So she said, okay, I could do something. And what she promoted was to have one day to celebrate his name and also to celebrate what he did for Guatemala, because he was the founder of Livingston. So this is part of what Ingrid contributed to the community, to have one day in order for us to know the history and also to honor Marcos Díaz.
Ese día aquí en Livingston, desde el 2015, ese día es feriado, no se trabaja, ¿verdad? Hay feriado municipal. También hay un fondo que la municipalidad asignó para darle, porque tenemos que hacer una serie de actividades para ese día, o sea, para no pasar ese día en blanco. Y desde ese momento, pues, desde el 2015 se ha venido cumpliendo con ese acuerdo municipal.
So what happens on that date is that it's a holiday, local holiday. So what they do, they have activities for the whole day and everybody participates. because they just don't want to have just a holiday and do nothing. So she says that it's a good way to influence the community, to celebrate together, and for them to have a day to remember that Garifuna founded Livingston. So it's a local holiday.
Yeah. Bueno, tantas cosas que hago, tengo tiempo para atender muchas cuestiones. También fui presidenta de Hábitat para la Humanidad cuando ingresó aquí a Livingston. Fui presidenta en dos periodos. Apoyé a muchas familias para que tuvieran su casa digna, ¿verdad? Incluso a personas que viven en Estados Unidos, que no es porque viven en Estados Unidos, tienen dinero para hacer una casa. Pero aquí sí, hicimos todo lo posible. Durante mi gestión se construyeron 75 casas a diferentes personas, ¿verdad? Y esa es parte de las acciones.
She said that she has done a lot of actions, and one of them she wants to share with us is she was the vice president of Habitat for Humanity, and it's an organization that builds homes. And during the time she was working with them, she was able to do 75 houses for Garifuna people. And she said some of these Garifuna people even lived in the U.S., but only because they're in the U.S. doesn't mean that they have like a lot of money to build a home back home. So she was part of this initiative, and she says she has done a lot for our community.
Pues esa es a grandes rasgos toda la actividad que me he impuesto en mi vida y continúo pues haciendo actividades desde casa, ya un poquito más descansada. Hoy es Día Internacional de la Mujer. Hay actividades que la municipalidad ha hecho. No voy porque tengo también relevos, ¿verdad? Tengo compañeras que están cubriendo estas actividades, pero definitivamente pues yo nací para servir y seguiré sirviendo hasta el último respiro de mi vida.
And she wants to share that now she works from home, and today on the Women International Day, she has a lot of activities even from home. And even at the municipality, they had activities today, but she also has women in her team that take care of these activities for her. Therefore, she said she's proud to contribute and to have contributed and to continue contributing to our community from where she is.
Así que cualquier pregunta, comentario, pues estoy a la orden para responder.
She said she welcomes any comment, any question, any suggestion, any conversation, anything you want to share with her at this point.
Wonderful, Sister Lena and Cousin Ingrid. Is very beautiful from Guatemala. And it doesn't matter what geographical place we are in. Garifuna Duo transcends boundaries and borders, the way of our being. Our sisters from Jamaica, the Maroon sisters and brothers from all around the world, wherever we are one. And I'd like to thank you for that at oneness. I hope Nehanda is with me. Nehanda, are you there? What I wanted to highlight from your present, wonderful. I'll ask Nehanda to join me in a little bit, but the oneness of our spirit sister, the Garifuna Duo, as you said, I for you, you for me, our looking out for each other. I wanted to remember Dr. Henry Stokes and his daughter Cindy, who was a physician, and they used to come to Belize a lot to provide services. We as women have always traveled around the world fiercely, supporting men. And as you have mentioned, do I need to pause for translation, please, Ms. Lena?
Yes. Ingrid, la señora Cintia pues quiere darte las gracias por tu participación y por compartir. Y por compartir porque dice que en cualquier país que estemos, el Garifuna Duo es real, se vive. Y hay muchas mujeres como tú que están haciendo un trabajo extraordinario en sus comunidades, por lo tanto ella te agradece tu participación. Al mismo tiempo pues está mencionando otras mujeres que están aquí con nosotros, que también siguen visitando Belice de vez en cuando, y estaba haciendo alusión a eso en ese momento.
So that point of what you're sharing is very important, that we want to reactivate, that we are one in spirit. We don't have to physically be in one another's places, but we need to reactivate this visitation to one another's communities.
Dice que necesitamos reavivar esta visitación que se hace de comunidad a comunidad o de país a país para que podamos mantenernos unidas y que eso que tú enfatizaste a través de tu presentación sigue siendo una necesidad hoy.
And so we are all related, even though we are not related by blood. And you, as a Garifuna woman, give an example of the power of one woman to impact the lives of many people.
Y dice que tú eres el ejemplo de una mujer que impacta la vida de muchas mujeres, de muchas personas.
So as I summarize, I want to celebrate those who are before us and who are still present, like Rigoberto Menchú, who we would like to invite to this conversation.
Dice que hay muchas mujeres que han hecho un trabajo extraordinario en el pasado, como Rigoberta Menchú, a quien le gustaría pues que se uniera a esta conversación nuestra.
Rigoberta Menchú, Indigenous woman from Guatemala, who lost many of her family members and we experienced genocide in our communities all over the world.
Dice que el genocidio es una experiencia que se experimenta en muchas comunidades alrededor del mundo, que fue el caso de Rigoberta Menchú en su momento.
And thank God for the courage of women like us who never give up.
Y gracias a Dios por mujeres como nosotras que nunca se dan por vencidas.
So I want to present and thank our sister Carol Miller from Jamaica, who has ensured that the Maroon women of Jamaica are present in this space for the first time in our movement.
Y estamos contentas de que las mujeres Maroon de Jamaica están presentes en esta conferencia por primera vez juntas y eso pues nos llena de mucha alegría porque nos estamos uniendo.
Claro.
I want us to present the sister Wangari Maathai, Nobel Prize winner from Africa.
Está con nosotros, dice que reconozcamos a la mujer de apellido Maathai, es de África y que la reconozcamos también a ella por su arduo trabajo y liderazgo.
She worked tirelessly and gave her life to African people, people around the world, to encourage us as women to stand up and do the right thing and not to complain because our men were not doing it.
Dice de que ella motivó a muchas mujeres a trabajar por nuestras comunidades, por nuestras familias, que aunque los hombres no lo estaban haciendo, nosotros pues nos hemos levantado y lo estamos haciendo.
Yesterday we heard about the Haitian women. You see, many times we don't hear about the contributions of women, and that is why we are speaking to the courage of the Garifuna women.
Muchas veces no escuchamos esto, no escuchamos el valor que tenemos las mujeres garífunas para combatir y trabajar y aportar a nuestras comunidades.
This is the first time in our Garifuna communities here in Belize that we are presencing the contribution of Garifuna women in a big way.
Dice que ahorita se está experimentando en Belize la contribución de la mujer en una gran manera, aunque se ha sabido que siempre hemos estado, pero en este momento se está exaltando la participación de la mujer en una manera extraordinaria.
Somebody was asking yesterday why it is we do not have a discussion about the participation of men, and our response is that we have always spoken about the contributions of men.
Dice que alguien se quejó ayer diciendo de que por qué no hablamos acerca de la contribución del hombre. Sin embargo, dice la compañera Cynthia que todo el tiempo se está hablando acerca de la participación de la mujer.
So at this point, I just want to pause and present a particular woman who maybe tomorrow her children will be speaking about her being a pioneer of the women's movement in the country of Belize. Not only, not just Garifuna, but all women. Her name is Regina Martinez.
Dice que mañana Regina Martínez participará con nosotros y nos dará a conocer sus contribuciones, su participación y todo. Sister Cynthia, Gia Flores would like to say something. She's been raising her hand.
Okay, excellent. And let me just conclude by saying about Regina is she was a mother of 14 children. She did not go to high school, but I want to give credit for the celebration of Women's Day in Belize because she was the one who pushed that movement, and we'll hear more about her tomorrow.
Ok, mañana vamos a escuchar acerca de Regina, quien tuvo 14 hijos, no terminó su secundaria, pero fue la mujer que inició a promover que se celebrara el Día de la Mujer en Belice, y mañana ella va a estar con nosotros.
So I will ask Nehanda to continue the moderation, and please go ahead with the comment or question.
Okay. Muchísimas gracias, Doña, por todas las actividades que tuvo usted en la buga, dice usted, ¿verdad? Y quiero felicitarle por todo lo que usted está haciendo, pero también como usted viajaba a Belice para visitar, quisiera yo preguntarle si no podía empezar en visitar Belice, comunicar con la hermanita Cintia, en discutir unos de las actividades donde usted puede hacerse la persona presentando las actividades en que usted ha cumplido en la buga, y si no tenemos también en Belice esos actividades.
Sister, please pause for translation. Sister Lina, please.
Yes, yes. So Sister Flores is asking, she's talking directly to Ingrid, suggesting that if could Ingrid talk to Cynthia to make a visit to Belize, to start visiting Belize again, and could a conference be held where Ingrid would be the speaker and share with the community her experiences? It's an invitation.
That's beautiful when the borders open. Wow, Ingrid has always been invited, right, Sister Ingrid? I'm the one always going to Guatemala.
Tienes que ir, Ingrid, tienes que viajar.
Ya, voy a responder. Sí,
de hecho, because of COVID.
Ya, exacto. Yo estoy abierta a la invitación. De hecho, Cintia me ha invitado varias veces, precisamente por todo lo que hago en mi comunidad. Muchas veces tengo agenda tan saturada, ¿verdad? Y también por el tema de COVID, que todo está cerrado aún, bueno, parcialmente también. Pero yo no tengo ningún problema, ningún inconveniente de viajar. Me ha gustado mucho viajar para ir a compartir, para ir a intercambiar conocimientos también con hermanas y hermanos afros a nivel de Centroamérica y América Latina. So,
she says she's open, she wants to come, and she said due to COVID and other circumstances, she hasn't been able to be there, but she's open to come and learn from you too, and exchange information. And she says that she counts on Cynthia that she will be there with you soon.
And she also said that I have invited her
many times. Yes.
Yeah. Muchísimas gracias.
Bueno, a usted, Miss Flores. Okay.
Sí, doña.
Nehanda? Nehanda, is Nehanda there?
Maybe she needs to unmute. Maybe she's
Nehanda. Nehanda, well, apparently not.
No, she's not here. No, it's only 16
so
of us
at this time, are there any more questions? Anybody would like to make or any comments? Anybody? Okay. Well, Sister Ingrid, I would like to thank you very much for what has been a long overdue sharing and presentation. And certainly as soon as this COVID provides, although we have not allowed COVID to stop us from communicating, we will continue this exchange virtually.
Dice que muchas gracias, Ingrid, por tu presentación. Dice que pues ya se debía de hace mucho tiempo compartir y que ella dice que aunque estemos en tiempos de COVID no nos está atrasando en nada para seguir con nuestra agenda por nuestras comunidades y con los otros países también. Así es que gracias.
We have a bigger work to do, and our circle is wider now, especially as we have the participation of the women in the diaspora, the men and women in the diaspora.
Dice de que tenemos un trabajo aún mayor que hacer, o sea, siempre hemos trabajado, pero tenemos aún más trabajo porque tenemos a las mujeres de toda la diáspora para trabajar con estas comunidades también e intercambiar mucha información.
And certainly coming out of this conversation and this movement that we're having, which is bigger than a conference. This is a movement that began long before we were born. Our ancestors were not afraid to travel from one place to the next.
Dice que estamos ahorita fortaleciendo este movimiento, pero que es un movimiento que inició hace mucho tiempo atrás con nuestros ancestros, cuando iban de una ciudad a otra buscando a su gente. Ahora pues vamos a continuar con este movimiento y hacerlo aún más grande y más fortalecido.
Claro que sí, cuenten conmigo.
Yes. You could count on her.
Wonderful. And even though we are going through uncharted waters, we have the same courage and strength that they had to break the cycle of oppression.
Dice que aunque nos toque nadar por aguas desconocidas, dice que tenemos la misma fuerza y coraje que tuvieron nuestros ancestros de poder romper con la opresión.
So we began this conversation last year, November, in Dangriga. The Garifuna Nation sponsored a conversation about addressing the issues in our communities, not just to talk, but to search for solutions.
Esta conversación inició el año pasado en noviembre con el apoyo de la Nación Garifuna, que es la organización que está pues apoyando a fortalecer este movimiento. Y estas pláticas comenzaron en ese momento y ahorita estamos continuando con esa agenda que se inició en noviembre del 2020.
And we are looking at this COVID not just as a challenge, but as opening doors of opportunities for us to be creative.
Y este tiempo de COVID lo estamos viendo como una oportunidad, como una manera o una temporada, diríamos, de generar nuevas oportunidades. O sea que nos estamos aprovechando del COVID para poder sacarle ventaja y fortalecernos más.
So I am the Vice President for Women Affairs and International Affairs for the Garifuna Nation, which is bigger than an organization. It is about organizing.
Entonces tenemos Ingrid, que Cynthia es la vicepresidenta y es representante ante Naciones Unidas de parte de la Nación Garifuna. La Nación Garifuna es una organización mucho más fuerte y mucho más grande que cualquier otra. Y yo también soy la vicepresidenta. So I'm also the vice president of Garifuna Nation, and we work together with Cynthia and the rest of our teams.
Okay, so in this specific area, we are under the umbrella of the mandate of the nation, which is about land acquisition and land maintenance. We address issues of land and territory.
Así es que bajo la responsabilidad de ella está lo que es la tenencia de la tierra, el mantenimiento de la tierra y la propiedad de la tierra.
We address issues of food printing.
También se toman asuntos sobre lo que es la producción de alimentos, que está muy ligado a la tierra.
Health and wellness.
Tenemos lo que es el bienestar y la salud.
Education according to Garifuna Duo at the center.
Educación como el Garifuna Duo como centro.
And Garifuna spirituality.
Y también tenemos lo que es la espiritualidad garífuna como eje.
And so right now I am residing at the Dabuyeba in Barranco.
En este momento estoy viviendo o residiendo en el Dabuyaba de Barranco. Ahí está.
Which is supposed to be the largest Dabuyaba in Central America.
Es el Dabuyaba más grande de Centroamérica, Ingrid.
So this is a very important sacred time for us.
Este es un momento muy importante y muy sagrado para nosotros.
Where we are connecting like in a circle.
Y nos estamos conectando como en un círculo.
With our people in Central America.
Con nuestra gente en
South
Centroamérica, Suramérica,
África, Europe,
Europa
and North America.
Y América del Norte.
With the Caribbean islands inside.
Igual con el Caribe incluido.
So at this point, I just wanted to give thanks to all the people who are here on this gathering, because it's all of us that give that energy for change and moving forward.
Así es que le doy gracias a todas las personas que están con nosotros y estuvieron en todo este momento, porque juntos queremos seguir adelante.
So thank you, Sister Ingrid, and we will close this session at this time unless anyone has anything to say. Sister Lina, thank you for being there, for more than translating. You are not just translating, not just interpreting. You are being your beautiful, special Garifuna Queen self.
Ingrid, te quiere dar las gracias.
Being your beautiful self, eh?
Cynthia, te da las gracias. Y te da las gracias a mí, ¿verdad? Por haber participado y dice representar a nuestra gente como una reina, me dice, como ese es mi apodo, ¿verdad? Así es que gracias, Ingrid. Gracias, Cynthia. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Okay, so we will take... Bien? Okay, gracias. So we'll take a 5-minute break at this point before we go into the next session. Please do not leave. And we will invite you to send the link to others and to share the program for the rest of the day and for tomorrow to be a part of this movement. Thank you, beautiful friends. Carol, are you there?
Yes, I'm still very much here.
Okay, do you have any comments at this time? Because I was not participating this morning, so I just wanted to know if you have any thoughts or reflections at this time.
Just to say, it's been a really wonderful day. I especially enjoyed the music at lunch so much, so I have not had lunch. But it was wonderful. When we listen to the music of our people and we think back to how all of that came from sacred spaces, spaces of worship, spaces of work, spaces of, just being alive and living. It's just so beautiful. I think it was really just touching the hearts of everyone present. The presentations have been really wonderful. I'm grateful to my contingent of speakers from Jamaica for their participation. I know some people are still on who are presenting tomorrow, as Sister Hazel is still on. We had wanted to have the presence of Fidelia Grand Gallon, but she has not found it possible to come on. I don't know if she'll make it for tomorrow, but if she does, we certainly accept her greetings and her participation.
She's here with us in spirit.
She's here in spirit as always.
Sure. I don't know if you're aware of Sister Latasha Brown. Latasha Brown is one of the African American women leaders of Black Votes Matter, and she just loves Belize and the Garifuna people, and she sends special greetings. Recently, she received recognition and award along with Dr. Hilary Beckles, who is with the University of the West Indies, the Vice Chancellor, and also with CARICOM And so she would love to join us, and we are hoping that she too will be able to give us some greetings. So
yes,
it's all very beautiful and in divine order, you know?
Right. We should also acknowledge the presence of the Real Stuff podcast. You have been a guest on that program a few times, and Franco and Flavius are very much present on the conference today.
Yes,
so we acknowledge their presence.
They are very shy, you know. I invite them to say something, and they're always very shy. They never.
Well, I'll speak for them. I'll be presumptuous to speak for them to let you know that is indeed a great pleasure for them. I think these two men have, in the last few years, taken as a mission to be one or two of the voices of the ancestors and to promote that which is ancestral and that which has meaning in very profound ways. So I know it is a blessing to their spirits to be here and to participate in the conference. I hope I'm not being too presumptuous, Flavius and Franco, but I truly feel, you know, that I feel their heart.
Awesome. And tomorrow we are going to be they are going to be, what do I mean, me? They are going to be interviewing some of the participants, and certainly going to invite those who have shared yesterday and today to be available to speak through that venue. Let me look and see where I am or where we are on the program, and presence. I suppose to presence Nehanda, because yes, we're here at day 2. We've had a wonderful sharing. Sister Ingrid certainly enlightened us, and this session is going to be about Suriname. Our brother from Suriname gave his apologies because that's Stan Malone. He has been working extensively with Maroon and Indigenous communities in Suriname. And I first met Brother Stan when I was working as a diplomat for CARICOM, many years ago, 25 years ago. That's how young I am. And Brother Stan was very much involved in being, like, I would want to say the word, like a broker for Indigenous people. He gave a presentation about the wealth and the resources of the rainforest in Suriname, and which was being invaded by pharmaceutical companies and other companies that came to Suriname to take or receive people. Of his team were like the people who sifted out those visitors or researchers who would come in and take away the knowledge and the information of the indigenous people, and had them develop, I'm simplifying something that's more intricate, develop what was called a Forest Peoples Fund. As a result, over these years, we had been networking specifically when it came to the resources of our lands and the knowledge relating to trees, and also relating to the plants for medicine, for food, for shelter, and for construction and aesthetics. So the person who is unmuted, please, could everyone mute the phone? Hello? Someone, I'm getting feedback. Could you please mute? Someone needs to mute. Pablo, are you there? Who is the host? Who is our host? Pablo or Egbert?
Yes, I'm currently looking for the person so I can mute that phone.
Oh, brother Pablo, could you please, I don't know, how are you receiving this information and sharing this now? Pablo, could you just say something about yourself? You've been awesome in the Garifuna Nation in terms of really anchoring us with some very authentic and solid connections. Would you like to share so far how this experience has been for you?
Well, it's good afternoon, everybody. Buenas tardes a todo
Pablo,
mundo.
please remember that all our people don't understand Garifuna, so kindly translate for yourself.
Yes, I basically
As
said good
you are
afternoon.
and where you are from and so on.
Yes, I basically said good afternoon in Garifuna and Spanish. I'm from Honduras. I have a very direct relationship to the Garifuna community. I trace my lineage to 3 siblings that arrived from the genocide and banishment to Honduras. And this is a very personal endeavor that I'm in with Garifuna Nation, with you, Cynthia, and Brother Egbert. It's aching, as I'm listening to all the women talk here, I can't remiss if I didn't mention my grandmother, Flora Blanco Bermudez, and my mom, Delmi Blanco. They were the ones that pretty much made me comfortable being Garifuna. Because I know that there are persons that didn't grow up with a grandmother like I did, in which I heard Garifuna every day and I was spoken to in Garifuna. And there was like a very strong advocacy for Garifuna Duo. And that's all that I saw growing up. So I don't know anything else but to be Garifuna and to help the nation grow and get out of this economic problem that we currently have. But first is the history and these very vital conversations that we're hearing today. I remember this morning listening to the sister from the Maya community. I believe her name is Felicia or Felicita. I don't remember, but she mentioned Pachamama, which is a sacred ground that is in Belize right now, and which I really want to visit when everything is done with COVID. But I'm the Minister of Information Technology here at Garifuna Nation. I make sure that our voice is heard in social media. We have a YouTube page, we have an Instagram page, and we have a fan page on Facebook. We also have a Twitter page as well. So we want more persons to engage with us because the more I research and I engage with different persons from the Maroon community, the Taino community, and all the other indigenous persons that identify with the Garifuna experience and history and so forth, we have to make ourselves accessible to them. So that's what that's my my forte, and that's my focus in the Garifuna Nation. Make sure that these people can access us and have conversations with us because more than likely they're going through the same experience that we are going through. As indigenous people, I heard the word genocide, which we should use more often as we engage in dialogue because that's what happened to us. So Sister Cynthia, thank you so much for facilitating this event. I've learned so much, and the men are here. As a man, I'm here to support. The men are at the forefront. Well, the women are the forefront, because I remember my grandmother holding barbecues and other fundraising activities so they could send money to a church in Honduras, in Santa Rosa de Aguan, to build up the community. That's how we got running water, and that's how we got electricity to the community. It was the women that organized all that, and the men were there to support that particular endeavor. So the women have a role to play, but the men also have a very vital role to play as well. We're the muscle. When we protest, we're the ones that's there, as we're seeing in Honduras right now, to protect the women. So I just want to make that abundantly clear that we're here in solidarity with Garifuna women.
Beautiful. It's all about family. It's one love. We cannot do without each other. And what we have shared in our journey is that that we have found out that sometimes we have to have each other's back strategically, you know. And certainly we have found out through history
that many times the first people attacked are the men. And we are experiencing that in Honduras as our people are fighting for our land, that men are being murdered because we are on prime lands in Honduras. Pablo, could you just check in on Nehanda for me, because I'm inviting her to presence in the space of Brother Stan Malone, and I asked Egbert as well. However, there's a lot that we can share in this space.
I'm
never
here.
Have
Hello, I'm here.
Beautiful, beautiful Nehanda. So thank you for, I know you have a time difference challenge. Nehanda is in Europe, in Germany. And that is why in our sacred circle, we are identifying that we are in different points of the globe. And that's the power of this movement. That is, we are all around the world, and welcome everyone from around the world. Our people did not have internet and all those technologies way back when. And somehow we were able to communicate in a very powerful way. We used the conch shell, we used our drums, we had different ways of communicating. So we're coming back to that beauty. This afternoon, I'm going to ask, well, Nehanda, I'm not going to say by the way, because she's not by the way. Nehanda is my daughter, my second daughter, my second child. And as women, we are the CEOs or the managers of our families. And certainly in this movement, we promote as a part of our healing process that charity begins at home. And in our communities, we would have had to have been traumatized by what we went through in terms of these adversarial experiences that we had. However, in spite of that, we've been able to hold it together and hold ourselves together as we move forward. So, but we don't want to express the trauma that we have been through, having gone through this genocide and the impact that it has had in our lives. One of the things about Garifuna Duo is being intentional about the succession strategy. Who are we handing over to? Where are our children? Where are our grandchildren? Where are our young people? So in the midst of this activism that I have been involved in over the years, through the grace of God, divine order, I have been called to focus on healing of self, of family, and of community. One of the things we have in Garifuna Duo, in our sacred space, is what we call cleansing. Cleansing is presencing the pain, the trauma, and releasing it. So within the Dawiyaba, which is our sacred space, temple, we have several ceremonies and rituals where we present the disharmony that we experience and release it. Even if it is ugly, even if it is horrible, there's a facilitation of releasing this pain to make room for newness and beauty and goodness. So having said that, I would like to say that we are all a part of a royal family. And it is no accident that many of the people who have been in the session yesterday and today are related. I mean, Sister Ingrid and I are cousins. We are related. So she calls me Prima. She's in Guatemala. That has nothing. I might go to Jamaica, and find that I have cousins there too. And people from Jamaica might come here and find they have cousins there too. Guatemala, Honduras, and so on and so on. So I will ask Nehanda to share about herself and about the work or the experience we have had with the Duke of Edinburgh Award as an example of developing a succession strategy. Now, many people used to ask, so what are you doing with these white people organization, which is alien to our culture? And our response is that
we live in two worlds, like you are in the world, but not of the world. If we look on the money that we use, the picture on our money here in Belize and many Caribbean countries is a picture of the Queen of England, you know? And so as we as Garifuna people and Maroons know that we are queens, and we as Garifuna people know that we are royal family and we have our own ways of expressing ourselves, we are not afraid to be in conversation with the royal family because we are also royal family. So Nihanda, could you kindly just share whatever is on your heart and how it is you would like to guide us? Okay?
Yeah. Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you so much for that, Mom. Sister Carol LM is asking for you to share your video so she can see you. If it's
y'all want to see how beautiful I look? Oh my Lord. My apologies, sisters and brothers.
No, well, you're done speaking now, sister, but I don't know. I would really appreciate if people who are speaking would turn their mics on. It's very unnerving to me to be looking at the computer and I'm hearing a voice, but I'm not seeing a person. I'm not why. It's just a little unnerving to my spirit. So whoever is speaking, you know, if they could just see that.
Let me tell you a little secret, and it's not an excuse. Sometimes I am concerned that the internet will go off when I put on the video.
Okay, then I appreciate that concern.
But I mean, you know, I'll be seen for now. Go ahead, please.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for having me here at this wonderful event. I really, really appreciate everyone being here. And so, like Sister Carol, if anybody has the video to show me their hands, let me see if I could do this. I just want a show of hands, or maybe write in the chat if you have any children or know anyone between the ages of 14 and 25, or have ever been in Scouts or or brownies or anything like that. Just show hands so that I could see. Good, excellent. All right. So I'm gonna, if Pablo or whoever's doing the IT would allow me to share my screen, I'd like to show the video first and then give my story. That's possible.
Could you say something about your name, Nihanda, please? Why you were given that name and what it means?
So while I'm waiting for that to happen, I was given the name by my parents. Nihanda means grandmother in Swahili, and wise woman. And I was given this name by my parents because my mother and father thought it was nice to mess with me for the rest of my life. No, they gave me the name because they thought that it would suit my personality, and it really does in terms of being wise and strong. And Nihanda, or Nani of the Maroons, was the one who led the African tribes away from slavery when the British came to South America. I think to South Africa, they came first. And so she was the one who led the army and led the people away from the potential slave owners or slave sharers, so that they couldn't find them during the war in South Africa. And it wasn't until they had captured her that they were able to find the Africans that were hid. And so it was a very, very powerful story, and I love it a lot because I really feel like I connect with that and I identify with her need for having to speak and to help and to have that drive and wisdom within me to help my people. Am I able? Can everybody see my screen? Show of hands.
Yes, we see they registered to the award, joining an award center. Yes.
Okay.
It's not the video that you are looking to show yet.
Alrighty. Maybe I have
on the
This one is the video. This one with the guy, the
Okay.
African guy, right? That's it. Beautiful.
Can everybody hear?
Not yet. We can hear you. But yeah, we don't have a, we can put on the video now. We can't hear it yet. Okay, good. It's on, but the video, the sound is not on yet. Pablo,
Can everybody hear
perhaps you
the
can.
video?
No, can't hear it at all. Pablo, can you guide us? Is Pablo there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
What should we do so that the sound comes out?
Should I try to start it again, or?
Yes, see if you could increase your volume on the far right.
Okay. Oh, now everything's disappeared. Okay, okay. On the far right?
Yes, you see the little microphone?
Yeah.
Make sure that's clicked.
Okay.
Patience, we have it. So is it possible for you to send it to Pablo Nehanda so he can put it on? And then you can continue presenting. Is that possible? I hear something very light.
Okay, let me just see if I can send it. Okay.
To Pablo. Is that okay, Pablo?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what we'll do. We have a lot of patience with this technology. While you all are working on that, I remember in 1985 attending a women's conference in Nairobi, Kenya. And one of the topics, and that was in 1985, that's to show you how young, I am. And there we were looking at something that is only significant to me now, which was called Women Taking Hold of Technology. And so little did we know we would have had to be dealing with all this virtual communication. And I remember an indigenous woman from the Mayan communities was telling me that she wanted to learn to use computer and have the women in those communities know how to use computer. And it was amazing to me that because they had no electricity in the village, but she was so determined to get hold of this technology that it's something that we were able to explore. How are you doing, Nehanda? Nehanda? Okay. Pablo?
I am just sending the stuff over to Pablo via chat. So
okay, good. Is that okay, Pablo? I know you are able to handle that. So when you are through, let us know, please, Pablo. Nehanda, what's on the screen is registered to the award. Can you take it off so we can look at you and focus on you and continue the conversation, please? So the point I'm making is that the women were able to, these women who ordinarily would have, you would have said, oh, they're coming from the back of bush and the hinterland, were ready to deal with the technology. And we actually traveled to Barbados as a team to meet with women from the Caribbean. And it was phenomenal going through Miami. You think this Maya woman, the word that she never visited Miami, she was just ready. Okay, so are we ready? Talking about ready. Pablo?
Yes, I could play the video when you guys are ready.
Excellent. So can we go ahead, please?
Sure.
Thank you. You'll have to unmute something. Okay.
No song is coming from the video.
No, absolutely no song, Pablo. Okay, here's what we will do. Pablo, can you maneuver with it while Nehanda goes ahead and present? Nehanda, can you go ahead and share? And
Yeah,
then
so
Pablo, can I ask you to just...
Oh, there I am. Belize. So the video that I was sharing was, this video was the prelude to meeting Prince Edward, Earl of Wessex. This happened in 2008 when we were getting ready to make a presentation based on our region. So I was representing the entire Americas from Canada to South America. And we
Can I hear you? Okay. Nehanda, excuse me, could you please just say a little background on the award, because we were caught up in the video, so that background would be useful if you don't mind.
Okay. So where do I start? Because I had decided to do it the other way around. So I'm going to talk about the award itself. The award for me, okay, so the award is actually a mentorship and a character development program for young people between the ages of 14 and 25, and it's international. As of last I checked, it was in almost 400 countries around the world. And in certain countries, it has different names, like maybe the President's Award. I think here it's called the award in Germany. But it's based all over the world, and it's basically a character development, something like Scouts program that allows young people to tap into their potential with a certain amount of discipline and consistency based on their own interests. And there's 3 categories. So there's skills. Skills basically could be anything that a young person is interested in learning. It can be something like karate, or learning a new language, or a new type of sport, or a trade. And then you have community service, which is voluntary work that a young person does in their community. And then you have sports. So any kind of physical activity, team sports, or individual sports where they can get physical activity in on a regular basis. And the young person can do this from a year up until 3 years, and you get a certain level of points which lead to your medal or your pin, which is in the bronze, silver, or gold. And once they have accomplished either bronze, silver, or gold, or all 3, at the end of each accomplishment, there is a expedition, or there is an expedition which lasts anyway from an overnight to 3 days. And this expedition takes place usually in the wilderness, and they have to walk, hike, take a bike to the different locations while learning something or many different things about their environment. So I got involved with the award program back in 2007 when myself and my cousin were looking for different activities that we can get involved in Belize. And my mother and I were my mother and my cousin were having a conversation because she needed somebody to have this, she needed somebody to update her resume. And he found all of this wonderful history and things that she had done. And he said to her, you know what, I want to do something like this. Like, I want to travel and experience life like you did, Auntie, like, this is great. And so she said, yeah, okay, let me call my friend. And she called her friend who she met in Guyana, but in that time was living between Barbados, Jamaica, and England, and invited him to come and start the award in Belize. And as I started to get involved with them in promoting the award, I recognized that we had already started it was a revamping of the award because it had gone dormant after my stepfather had passed away. He was in charge of the award, and there are actually some pictures of him. I wish I had them here for this presentation, but there are pictures of him and the Duke of Edinburgh himself at one of the excavation Mayan sites, which was what he used to implement training archaeologists in Belize. And so when I found that out by accident, because I was making a presentation for the award on one of our local radio stations in Belize City, someone had called in from the program and had said that they wanted to help, and this was something that they remembered from their time that was very beneficial to them. And so as I started to dig in and started to think about, you know, how and why mentorship is important, I started to think back on when I was in college at 16 years old, and I was just kind of like thrown into the water to swim. And long story short, I did not complete my studies. And later on, when I was going through many, many personal challenges, I think I was homeless and jobless and penniless in Europe, I had a conversation with a relative, with my aunt. Actually, it was interesting because it was the same aunt whose son ended up helping my mom with the award, who said to me, you know, if I had advised you, would you have listened? And it made me feel really, really, in fact, I still use this today when I'm mentoring my own children and young people who have come to me, especially Garifuna young people, like what has happened over the course of the years in terms of how we interact with young people and what do we think about our young people, and how is that being useful to the youth of today. And so every time I find myself not wanting to advise a young person, I always think back on that conversation where she was like, well, if I had told you not to do this and this and this, would you have listened to me? And, you know, being young and cheeky, I said, well, we will never know now, but I often ask myself now, if I don't speak wisdom, which is what my name means, can I blame the young people for being lost? Or is it partially my responsibility? And so when I started to get involved in the award program and I got invited because we had raised something like $10,000 in a matter of 2 weeks, I was very, very interested in how it translated to what young people in Belize need. What do young people need, period? And one of the things that I started to realize is that there is this big lie that young people are not good, they are lazy, they're not interested in learning anything, they're not interested in improving themselves, they're not interested in anything. And I got on the radio and I spoke that, and one of these heads of organizations, I think it was the Red Cross, who called me and said, yeah, it was Miss Bowman called in and said that she wants me to represent the Red Cross. And at that time, I was already really, really involved in the award. And so I said to her that I'd love to get involved with the Red Cross. And so fast forward, the award, the Earl of Wessex got a hold of what was happening in Belize and was very impressed with our work and invited me in the middle of another self-discovery process, which my mother was a part of healing, and he called the head of the award for the Americas, called my mother and asked if I would like to meet the Earl of Wessex and talk about the work that we've been doing. And she said to him, you know, ask her yourself. And so when he asked me, I said, of course, I said yes. And when I went to England to speak about what we were doing in Belize, I got to meet other young people who were experiencing similar things. And I learned a few things that I would like to share here today. And if after that, then Mom, you can just please fill in and see where some of the gaps lay. One of the things that I realized was that young people need a lot of patience. Mentoring takes time. It takes a lot of time and dedication on the part of the mentor, but it also takes a lot of patience on both sides, because at certain in that special time between 14 and 25, there is a lot of self-discovery process taking place. And if you multiply that to what's happening now with so much bombardment in social media and things like that, you can see that young people are being pulled in so many different directions and we're losing them. I often think back to when I had started talking to young women, especially in the award and outside of the award, openly about things like sex and sexuality and sexual abuse, a lot of which I have experienced personally in my own life. Despite the wonderful upbringing that I have had, I started to realize some common trends in how we need to have more open conversations with our youth and stop being so afraid of being judged by them. Because when we do that, from my experience, they feel even more alone. And young people, number two, want to belong. They want to belong mainly to us. They want to be accepted by us. And I think that that is great, because we can really capitalize in the way that we talk to young people about things like sex and sexuality, identity, a sense of changing the world and having responsibility for themselves and for those around them. And the award is a great conduit for helping that to take place, because it is Garifuna Duo, and it is also of the world. And because it is nonpartisan in many, many, many cases, well, it was created to be nonpartisan. And if it is in any country partisan, then there are some reasons that I can discuss later as to why that is. But it is meant to be nonpartisan, so everyone can be able to use it no matter what the situation is. And so when I went and I spoke like I am talking now to the Earl of Wessex, they were very impressed with what we had done in Belize. And I continue to work with the award, even though I'm not the national coordinator now. I am very, very much a fan and a huge advocate of it, because I think that it is important, and it is the mentorship that I would have liked to have had I been had it been available in the time that I was going through the struggles that I went through. People were shocked when I did some of the crazy things that I have done. But I really am happy that I had those experiences, because I can speak openly to many people, especially my own two daughters, about what being a woman and a Garifuna woman is and what it isn't, and how we can speak to our girls openly. I know I'm very, very happy about the work that Miss Ingrid is doing in Guatemala. I think we need more of that, because you will always find in any situation, environment, and society that young Black girls of Black African descent are the ones that bear the brunt of the abuse, the neglect, and the mishandling and mistreatment. And I think that what I have benefited most from in my own community when it comes to Garifuna Duo is the times when women have said things like, you know, you don't need to be with this man, or you don't need to be doing that, or you need to be doing this. And here is my story. And so please tell your stories, because those stories are important. Be open in what the details of those stories are, because that's how our young women can hear themselves in your story. And please be non-judgmental. I've had a lot more success when I just listen from regardless of how I may feel about what I'm hearing. When I don't give judgment, people are more willing to speak to me, young women especially, when I hear them and hear what's on their heart, and not necessarily why or how it's coming out of their mouth. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope that this was useful for everyone. I'm complete.
Yes, Nihanda, thank you so much. Just a couple of things, maybe if you can focus a little about the spirituality aspects of being a Garifuna young woman. And maybe if you could say a little bit about your grandmother, your grandparents, things that you have become aware of in the journey. If we can just reference that a little bit. And then secondly, when you and your brother went to Guatemala, you were supposed to go to Dominica, I think, but you were going through Central America. Could you please share a little about that?
Yes, my grandparents, when I had my first daughter, my grandparents played an active role in her development because my mother was not in the country at the time. And so I was going through a breakup that was in an abusive situation. And so my grandfather was the one who called me one side and said, you could come and stay with us for as long as you need to, because you don't need to be in this situation. And it was during that time that I was staying with them that I learned so much about our tradition, because my grandmother saw that instinctively, intuitively. A woman who would always say, I never finished high school, or I never went to college, or whatever. She has way more wisdom. She has a lot of wisdom, and I was able to, she shared that wisdom with me when I was living with them. And she would always talk about how much it was a blessing to be able to raise their great-grandchildren and to have lived that long and to live that strong to make that impact, teaching us about where we came from. My grandfather was very, very big in community activism, and he did a lot of that for the country and also for the Garifuna people. And he would always have me or my my grandkids, no grandkids yet. He would always have his grandkids or his great-grandchildren with him whenever he did anything. He was all about family and very, very, very much involved in how our history was being told. He made it his business to go to St. Vincent and hear the stories for himself. And when he found those stories, he came back into the community and he would be like, all right, he would sit down. At that time, it was maybe 22 grandchildren, more now, but at that time it was 22 of us, and he would sit us all down at his home, in his house, in his living room, and tell the story, the real true story of the Garifuna people. And so when I went anywhere, Europe, Central America, anywhere, I could openly, unapologetically, proudly say I'm Garifuna. And if it was too complicated for people to understand, I would explain it, because I knew the history and the story. I was being told the history and the story since I was a little girl. And my grandmother, when I had my first daughter, she would show me the different things, how to tie your head after you have a baby, how you band your back, you wear like a band around your back, and you're supposed to drink certain teas and make sure that you have certain herbs on a regular basis. And that wealth just really, really stuck with me. And I was very blessed to have the opportunity to have my eldest daughter have that knowledge passed on to her when we were living there. And it wasn't always easy, because in a big family, people have their different ways of thinking about those kinds of situations. A lot of my family members didn't appreciate me staying there, openly spoken. But that was okay with me, because I don't think that everybody has an opportunity to have that wealth. And it has paid off, because my daughter and I have that relationship, like the relationship my mother and I have, where I'm her best friend. That makes me feel really amazing. And when the time comes, and it's going to come pretty soon, because I am going to make this my business, that she will learn the language. They're going to sit, both kids, one is half Garifuna, half German, one is half Garifuna, half European, English, whatever.
When you're black, you're fully black.
But when you're black, you're black. And so, we have to open the conversation. And I say that because there is a lot of talk here about the evil Europeans, and you exclude the Garifunas who are part European when you speak that way. And we want to make sure that we're inclusive and not exclusive. And, like I just wanted to say one more thing. My cousin that spoke yesterday about STEM, the engineer, she is, yes, her father is Creole. So, but she identifies Garifuna. Why is that? Because of the teachings that my grandfather and my grandmother took the time to pass on to them. I'm complete.
Kaina is very, very, very appreciative of your sharing your experience. And Pablo says the video is available now. So let's have a quick look at the video, and then the other questions or comments. All right? Please go ahead, Brother Pablo.
Okay, so you guys should be able to see my screen now, right? Can you hear me?
Hear you. We hear you, Pablo. We hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay. Can you guys hear that?
Yes.
Okay. Great.
I grew up in a slum in the eastlands of Nairobi called Soweto. It's not very easy with the challenges of poverty, unemployment for the young people, violent crimes, drugs. The list is endless, HIV and AIDS. It's very, very difficult.
When I was growing up, I came from a middle-class family. I was brought up to say please and thank you. I was brought up really well. I knew right from wrong. My family was amazing, absolutely fantastic.
I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters, and my father don't have a good income, and they not give me a good opportunity.
Last year, I lost my father. I was left with the responsibility of taking care of my mom, who doesn't have a job and she's sick a lot of times, and my little brothers and sisters who are pretty young.
We have a very young nation. A lot of people in our country are in school or trying to find a job or just trying to navigate themselves in that area.
I rebelled against my middle-class upbringing. I decided that going out and clubbing with my friends from college was more important than staying and studying.
When my age is 11, I'm run over my home. I picked some money in my father's pocket, and 6 months I'm working in railway station.
The jobs that are being offered are usually offered to people with more experience in education, and when you're young, you don't have that much experience, so they end up getting involved in drugs and gangs and criminal activity.
From the age of 18, I lived in a little bed, sit on my own. I didn't work, and I spent every weekend out raving, doing speed, ecstasy, smoking cannabis, taking cocaine sometimes.
We have a large youth population in the prison system as well.
One night I was stupid enough and naive enough to carry a really large amount of ecstasy into a nightclub, and I was searched and caught with them, and I was arrested, and I didn't go home for a year.
I went to an informal school in Soweto slum. At the beginning, I didn't quite understand what their word was about and what exactly it was going to do and how it was going to help.
They asked me, what do you want your in skills? And I answered to photography.
When I went and did the expedition and climbed the hills and camped out for one night, I thought that was fun, and achieving all that really inspired me to want to do more in the award.
I thought nobody would want to ever speak to me ever again, but the award leader wrote me a letter and said, we haven't given up on you and you can still do your award. We'll support you to do your award while you're in prison.
I'm so much more what I am today because of the experiences I've had in the award. The award has done a lot in terms of building my self-esteem and raising my self-confidence. If I hadn't been involved in the award, I would either be dead or in prison.
They never ever gave up on me, and even when I left prison, I still had to obviously do my expedition. When I would go on expedition weekends and not be able to cope with them and leave, and they would say, just have a space, and you got to your 25, you can do this, and then they come back to me a few months later and say, okay, let's try again.
After Gold Award, the award support me continue. So that is good part of my life.
The award changed my life. I really believe that they gave me back my self-confidence, and that has taken the award believing in me. We're talking 12, nearly 13 years now.
Award changed my life because now I'm a professional photographer, and in Delhi I have good name.
I am able, through what I do with the award, to provide for myself and provide for my family.
I've been into my own prison and talk to young offenders now and tell them there is hope for every single one of you. The award has the potential, really, to, with your own work, change your whole life.
What the award does is to awaken that sense of responsibility.
The most important thing of the award in any country in the whole world is that the award gives them a sense of purpose and a sense of worth and self-esteem.
It just creates so many opportunities for young people to develop businesses, to develop themselves, to really make real changes.
Whatever level you're at, whether you've got a disability, wherever you come from, however your own sort of learning skills are, it doesn't matter, there's something for you.
One thing I know is the power to change the world and to develop the world is in the people.
In Belize, I think it really helps us to be a little bit more conscious of our environment and how we can play an active role in molding our environment.
In the slums, people get sick because the drainage system is blocked with a lot of garbage. So we have a group of young people doing the award, coming up and deciding to do cleanup exercises a month.
The award program is so a part of Belize growing. It's like Belize is an actual young person, and this is helping Belize to develop character and good, sustainable people so that they can play an active role in the country's development.
The award gives you a future. It gives you a future of employers. It gives you a future of colleges and further education. The most important thing of all is how you feel about yourself.
The award has empowered them to change their world for themselves. And if everyone had the opportunity to do that, I mean, wouldn't we be living in a better world today? Yeah.
Beautiful, thank you. Thank you, Brother Pablo, for helping us with that. Nehanda, thank you. And Sister Gloria, I think you said you're leaving or on the road. Would you like to say something before you leave, as Nehanda will continue? Sister Gloria Sims, are you there?
Yes, Mom, I'm right here. Give thanks. My greetings to everyone in this space, blessing. I'm sorry I wasn't able to sit into all of it today, but because I was to run on the road, I'm just back, so I'm trying to see what I can pick up on. But as I come in, I heard the sister just deliver a very inspiring presentation based around mentorship and young people, and it's one of the things that is very passionate with me, as I had right now a 14-year-old that I'm rearing, one of my grandchild. She's 14. I have 3 of them at least, 14, 10, and 5. And my mother passed away, which was my daughter, in 2017. And so I have them. Wow. So, we are grandparents and it is repeating. But then when you're a mother, you really, apart from the knowledge passed on from your parent, and the fact that we as children growing up would always look after the smaller one, it's really the child when you have that teach you how to parent, for the first time. And then now we move from parent to grandparent. So in this age, trying to understand where the young people minds are, because I didn't grow up in the age with internet, and they're mainly on their internet. So sometimes it's a way of how to communicate to them. You sometimes can't even reach them because they're on their internet. They seem very busier than you. So I give thanks for the young people and mentorship And I'm seeing programs like that, you know. Right now I'm about to push off this program I want to do, put up as a warrior. And, you know, spiritual warriorship is like a journey. And how we can now teach our young people. And so I am putting together a program with a site that will has young warriors in and involve the youth them to do something, the young people to help each other, you know, and so within the school and get it in the school program. So I am hoping and I am requesting all the help from my Garifuna sisters, my indigenous family, you know, whoever. I just put my contact up who want to come in with the program. You can contact me. You can see how we can talk. I am very interested in Open because all of this sound like part of the Open University as well. So I'm very much interested in that. I am happy to be in this 2-day conference so far. We've gone 2 days now, and it's very inspiring. And I'm so happy. I'm excited to be a part of it, and I'm thankful. Thanks to Sister Carol who has invited me in, and thanks to Cynthia and all the others that I'm getting used to in the conference. And give thanks. My sister Akila from Trinidad, who I work with, was in the program earlier today. Sarah wasn't there when she was there, but we journeyed to United Nations together in 2018 along with Marfidelia Grangalan from Suriname. She should be in the program today. I've invited her as well, but she said it looked like she can't get in from Suriname. So that's some of the things, you know, but we are here happy to connect with our family like this, and we look forward to work together from now, yes.
Wonderful, sister. We are going to continue. This is a movement. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nehanda. We're not finished, but I just wanted to recognize, and there's a sharing. Nehanda's daughter says good night. If you read the chat, you will see that is being shared. Contact information, email for Nehanda. We are part of a network and a circle. Nehanda shared about 4 generations. It should be my mother, me, herself, and her daughter. And so we have this foundation that charity begins at home. Nehanda, I'll ask if you could just say a little something about the experience you had in Suriname, since in this space we were going to have Brother Stan share. And then also, if you could say something about your experience in mentoring young men who have been challenged.
Okay, you had asked me about the experience in Guatemala, so I'm gonna start there. I didn't answer that one. When I went,
yes,
my brother and I were supposed to be representing Belize as mentors, and we had to go through, well, we thought going through Guatemala was going to be easier. And so we took the route directly south down to PG, and then from Honduras, we would have flown from Panama. And we're very new at this experience. When we decided to just take, fly on a wing and a prayer, take our money and, you know, travel through Central America, just the 2 of us. And we experienced many challenges that that could be a book in itself. But when we arrived halfway, we realized that we only had enough money for 1 ticket for one of us to get on the plane. And so my brother said, okay, you're the older one, you get on the plane. And I said, no, I'm not leaving without you. We will do this together. And so we turned back, and my mom met us in somewhere, I think it was somewhere in Honduras. It was in Honduras. And we ended up spending a week in Guatemala City with one of the top neurosurgeons. I will present his spirit in this meeting, Dr. Stokes. who took us into his home and showed us around in his neurology facility in Guatemala City. And we had a great time. But one of the things that stuck out for me then was the time that we spent together with his family was a great example of Garifuna Duo, because, you know, we didn't know what we were doing, but we learned so much about Central America and this place we call home, and how much more is happening just outside of our comfort zone. And so when it was time, I ended up going, when we figured out more, because first we had to understand the route, and then when we did that, then I was able to travel again later on to Jamaica to be a mentor in the award. So when I was so in Suriname, yes, Suriname was the first time that I had my spiritual experience. My mother and I were in a maroon village in Suriname, and she had gone to something like a dugo. It wasn't a dugo, it was this other one, like a celebration. And
spiritual ritual for Emancipation Day.
And I was asleep in, I think it was a hut. And my great-grandmother on my father's side came to me, and she was speaking with such, this voice I will never forget. Her voice was so strong, and the only thing I can compare it to is like one of these songs that Mr. Lovell played earlier. It was like she was singing, but she was like, she made a reel up. I don't know. You know, and there were these women in a circle, kind of dressed like how you are now, Mom. And they were all dancing, right? And I was asleep in a room. At the same time, my mom had this afunahati. It was afunahati. She was having this oeha experience at the same time. And the person who was supposed to speak at this point, Mr. Stan Malone, was sharing this with my mom, that she was having all of these, you know, wonderful experiences. She made it oeha. And my mom doesn't remember any of that. Neither do I, because I was asleep. But I had an outer body experience where my great-grandma came and got me and put me. So when she was describing what was happening, oh, it was so wonderful, and it was this and it was that, and I was literally there, but in spirit, literally in spirit. And so that was the first time that I recognized that there is something very spiritual and very special about Garifuna women. And I don't know, there is nothing else to say. What was the other thing?
Nothing else to say, because yeah, that's beautiful. And the thing about it as well is that when you are a baby, your great-grandmother, bless you, when Nihana was born in Dangriga, her great-grandmother would come every single day to hold her and bless her for a whole week. And this is the granny we call Good Granny. And she is an exceptional entrepreneur. Whoever heard of somebody taking $2,000 spot cash out of their apron pocket? I'm not talking about Jamaica or Guyanese dollars. I'm talking about Belize dollars, which is all very strong equivalent to the US dollar. And then
back in
before your grandmother passed away, your grandmother, you are a baby, your grandmother asked me to take you to visit her before she transitioned. So in that time, it was very powerful to have that connection with the elders. So let us not take this interaction with our families, our children and grandchildren for granted. Nehanda, can we close? Sister Gloria says she was also a representative of the Duke of Edinburgh Award, okay? She just put that on the chat. Let's close with a little sharing finally about your experience in mentoring of young men who ordinarily would have been sent to prison.
Thank you for reminding me. Yes, so when we when we started to get involved with the working along with the police, we did two things, my mother and I. We worked with the Alternative for Violence program, teaching the police different alternative ways for dealing with hard, stressful situations. Of course, being a police officer, seeing the grind is a very challenging job. And so we were having this conversation in these workshops, and it came up that young men were being thrown into prison and tried for petty crimes, you know, maybe a little bit of marijuana, maybe some petty theft, or walking on the wrong side of the street, pants too saggy, silly little things. And so when we spoke to when we spoke to the head officer at the time, we were being chastised for wanting to take them off their hands, but we were giving them anyways because the system was being cluttered with these petty crimes. And so my mom and I said, yeah, give them to us and we will do something with them. We had at one point 5 young people living with us. These young men had nowhere to go, nowhere to live. Their family had turned their backs on them. They had, you know, they didn't have money for school. We found uniforms for school and books, and we got them into the program. And within a very short space of time, I would say 98% of them turned their lives around. There was one incident where I posted bail for a young man and was facing actual jail time myself because the police officers thought it fit to punish me that I would put my life on their line. So they decided not to do their job and go find the young man so he could face trial. They would put me in jail for trying to believe in him. And I don't know if you heard the part with the young woman in the video where she speaks about being given a second chance even when she was in prison. That's what it's gonna take sometimes to believe in the youth, because they are facing a world like we have never seen before. And it's hard. Nobody cares about them. Nobody. And when you believe in them the way we have, I mean, I see young people come up to my mother to this day. I'm on Facebook all the time with some of my mentees, and they are constantly grateful and thankful for the work that we have done with them. But they are being thrown in jail for absolutely nothing. And so when we started to do this work and we were being chastised, and then all of a sudden the young people started to turn around and make something of themselves, people were shocked. Like, how do you do it? You need patience. You need time. You need to have this feeling that no matter what, I'm here for you. I love you. That is Garifuna Dual. So Garifuna Dual goes, in my eyes, kind of beyond, okay, this is Garifuna Dual. This is the way communities were meant to be. You know, this is what is going to win the wars against our people. Because crime, violence, hatred, you know, rape, murder, these things are bad for business. As a businesswoman, this is Maria, you know, Stella talking. This is my great-grandmother talking now. These kind of crimes and things are bad for business. And I believe that, like, when we showed the police officers what was possible, everybody jumped on the bandwagon. We were the best thing since sliced bread. Remember, Mom? Everybody wanted to go see the British High and talk to the Governor General and be like, oh, yes, you know, I was there too, right, Miss Alice, you know? And we would go on our expeditions, and they would have more fun than the young people, you know? in a small country like Belize, just to conclude, what really touched me, there were some young people, Garifuna young men, who don't speak the language, who you would have to ask them. They wouldn't even know if they're Garifuna. But because we knew their parents, we knew that they were Garifuna. They have no idea what that means, no clue. Why? They live in Belize City where everybody is putting them down. And we took them once, I'm getting goosebumps right now as I speak of this story. Every time I tell this story, I get emotional. Some of these young men have never even left the 5 blocks of Belize City South Side. And you take them into the forest in Belize, in Hummingbird Highway, just outside of Dangriga. And you know, a little boy came and said to me, Miss, you know, I've never left Belize City. I've never been out anywhere else. And so we talk about biodiversity and environment and protecting the environment. They have no concept of that because they've never even left their backyard. And that for me was worth it because that young man is going to grow up with a different perspective of what it means to be him, what it means to be Garifuna, what it means to be Belizean, what it means to live in this earth and in this world. So, I'm complete.
Okay, my love, thank you. Are there any questions or comments on Nehanda? I can't imagine what time it must be over there. Different. Does anybody have any questions of Nehanda?
It's 10:30.
As we come to the close of the day. Well, it's not too bad. Any questions or comments? Anybody raising their hand? Because I don't see the screen. I'm on a different gadget today. Okay. So if not, I would like to thank everybody for having spent the time with us for this day, and tomorrow is going to be another beautiful day to be a part of a movement. Although we use the term conference, we're actually talking about getting to know one another, respecting, celebrating one another, cultivating relationships, in a network of a world that is of our sacred space as Indigenous people, as Indigenous women. We would like to thank you to be a part of this movement, to invite you. We were thankful that Ms. Felicita came on this morning from the Maya community. We already have a network going on here in Belize. It's people from all over the world, and men and women who are like-minded. International Women's Day is an opportunity for us to remember, but every day is Women's Day as we face the challenges of healing ourselves, healing our families, healing our communities. We have tried to inspire and to model for you, my family and I, with no shame or hesitation or hiding of any of the challenges that we have had personally and in our family, because this is the way we believe that we will move forward, by doing what is a spiritual cleansing and a release of these negative and toxic behaviors and experiences. First of all, identifying and loving ourselves and declaring who we are, and in that way to be able to love others, love our communities and women. We are the ones we have been waiting for. I want to close by remembering the women of Liberia. They use the term pray the devil back to hell. And the women of Liberia, they became Nobel Prize winners because they decided enough was enough, that the deterioration of their communities was in our hands. It is in our hands as women, and we are the solution that we have been waiting for. So as there are no questions, we have the same link tomorrow. We have some more interesting and exciting speakers coming on tomorrow. Julie Moss of the Cherokee Nation, one of the indigenous women from the United States. We invite you to bring in your greetings tomorrow. Even if you don't make a presentation, we welcome the greetings. We're also going to have Dr. Carla Barnett, who is one of she was a minister of land affairs, and she was Deputy Secretary General for CARICOM at some point, and she has been a resource person for the Garifuna Nation. The Garifuna Nation is our president around Nehanda. Do you see him on the screen? Well, if not, let me just say, yes, I would like him to give some closing remarks, because we are under the umbrella of the Garifuna Nation. The Garifuna Nation is not just about an organization, it's about organizing and acknowledging the fact that even though we have different names that we call ourselves, we have been a network of indigenous people without boundaries, without borders. We do respect and honor the governments and the protocols of others, but we are a nation within ourselves long before the Europeans, before Columbus arrived here and discovered us. Well, he was discovering himself, I guess. We already knew who we were. And so this is taking the responsibility for telling our story and sharing our story and really walking into the power, depth, and strength of who we are. My sisters and brothers, thank you for a beautiful and wonderful day. I am reporting here from Punta Gorda. We call it Paini. Thank you for the sisters from Jamaica, our people from Central America, Honduras, Guatemala, Nicaragua, all the Caribbean countries, people in Europe, and beautiful Germany, the United Kingdom, Africa. We just want to thank you from the United States and Canada. We are all part of one sacred circle. One of the most precious things that has happened, it's not the only thing, is our connection with the Maroons, because we have that Maroonage spirit in us, and we want to cultivate and strengthen it and see how we can visit one another physically, not just virtually. Egbert, you have the last word if you are there. Is Egbert vocal? Well, if not, Pablo, do you have the last word since you are representative of the Garifuna Nation? We always want to hear the voice of our men. You know, this is a village. This is not just women alone. We're balanced, right, Pablo?
Yes, we are very balanced. I think we're in one of the most balanced communities.
On behalf of the men.
Yes. Thank you for allowing me into this space. I think Edward came back. I'll let Edward go, and then I could go.
No, Pablo. Younger guy, go first.
You guys know I'm pushing 50, right? Just to let you know, this is just a lot of water and sea moss. Thank you, Egbert. But on a serious note, Cynthia, you had mentioned what's going on in Honduras. I'm actively working on having a similar conference, the one that we have now, but we're going to call it Garifuna Communities in Crisis in Honduras. We've seen 4 communities. We're trying to target 4 communities, maybe 5. Masca, Triunfo de la Cruz, Corozal. We're going to do my community of Guan because they've been targeted with this domestic terrorism that we are currently undergoing in Honduras, and the community of Limon. So we're going to do 5 communities. Egbert, Lena, and I are currently trying to get in contact with these people and try to schedule the program for this event in April 10 and 11. So we're getting the panelists ready, you know, vetting the persons so they could give their perspective on what's going on in Honduras, because it's genocide. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It's genocide at this point. Last week, a president of the Patronato, which is a community leader or a community village council leader, was assassinated in front of his business. And then on the same day, coincidentally, 2 activists for Ofrané were in prison for usurping in their land or in their community. They were released yesterday, so we're happy about that. They were released yesterday, but it's like there's a constant vilification and a constant threatening of our bodies in Honduras. In 2019, we lost close to 30 persons. 2020, we lost close to 20 persons. They were assassinated in front of their homes or because of their activism in our land struggle. So this is something that I want to bring more attention to in April 10th and April 11th. We're going to have members of Congress. We're going to have partners of the Garifuna Nation, such as Wadani Glover and some other people that are in this fight with us. And I'm looking forward to presenting that to the rest of the community. This talk has been very enlightening. I want to thank all the panelists, all the persons that made a presentation, because in watching the discussion, I learned about myself, and I learned the plight of Garifuna women. On a personal note, I have several Garifuna women admit to me that they've been molested by their fathers, uncles, cousins. I mean, that's something that we have to address in our community. It's such taboo in which we don't want to talk about it. It's like our spiritual system, we don't want to discuss it at all. But I know that the molestation problem is present in our community. And we'll address that in another particular conference. But thank you guys for sharing your experience. Neandra, thank you for sharing your experience as well. Over to you, Edward. You can close it out.
Thank you, Pablo. Thank you. Thank you, sisters from across the Caribbean, for enlightening our community. Thank you, Nihanda, daughter, most famous daughter in the world. Thank you, Cynthia, for being on the ground in Piney and Barranco, assisting us with our deep listening. Welcome also Real Stuff podcast, all the way from Jamaica. And we are continuing what our forefathers had set, and our nation people have always been in touch. We are doing what TV Ramos did, being a Garveyite, Pan-Africanist, making sure we continue his journey. So there's a lot of work. We have to pick up the ball and run with it. And I don't have much to say because there's so much more to say. As my good friend said, with the reggae rhythm, so much things to say. The struggle goes on. Struggle continues tomorrow at 9 a.m. Belize time is equivalent to 7 a.m. Pacific time. 9 a.m. Belize time is equivalent to 10 a.m. Eastern, right? And we're using the same link. We're using the same link, brothers and sisters. Over to you, Cynthia.
Excellent. A little housekeeping. The podcast program would like to get an indication if there's anyone who would like to be interviewed before, during, or after the conference. We are just send us your interests, and they will be doing interviews tomorrow.
James,
also, just be aware this is streaming.
I want James Lovell to be one of those people. James is in music and
excellent.
I want him to get in touch with the Real Stuff podcast. And you should share.
That's beautiful.
I don't know if you can communicate with him, James. The Real Stuff podcast. Beautiful. Yeah, maybe you should send him in the chat, no, your email.
Communicate with who? Communicate with who?
It's right there in the chat. Can you see the Real Stuff podcast?
Jamaica.
Jamaica.
They're all over the world. They're all over the world.
Flavius, are you there? Can you send your email or information to James with James Lovell? Of course, Pablo too. Promoting these young guys.
Yeah,
so we're coming to Jamaica.
So
we're coming to Jamaica. We go spend some time with our brothers and sisters, the Maroons. We
of course.
So we
playing out. Suriname invite us. Yeah, the Suriname are also inviting us, so we'll promote this. So thank you. I think that's the only housekeeping matter I have from Penny. And Egbert, the owner of the turmeric factory here in Punta Gorda, would also like to send greetings and blessings tomorrow and see if there are ways in which we can collaborate with the turmeric business. Right.
Very much so.
Okay. We can speak offline. Please, I need to give you some updates.
Good. You got the information, Brother Lovell, from the podcast?
No, I didn't.
Pablo, are we?
Okay, let me send it. Let me send it to you. Let me send it to you now. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Who should I send it to? Who should I send it to? James? Egbert, who should I send it to? James?
Send it to James and Pablo.
Okay, will do.
Yeah, me too. So send it to three of us.
All right, no problem.
And Sister Lydia, you should be prepared to interview too on the Real Stuff the real tough podcast. Your voice will be very strong in Jamaica.
Oh, really?
It's a radio station, a podcast, so you'll be in Radio Jamaica technically.
Please give me some details for background.
Good.
Please.
Yes, we will.
How soon is that going to happen?
He's very flexible with time and speed.
Okay.
I want to say Owen Bumabriga to Robert, the cacique, the Taino cacique over there in Jamaica. He was tuned in today as well.
Okay. Okay, brothers and sisters, I think it was a fruitful day. I think we accomplished a lot. You want to sign out, Pablo?
Go ahead.
Hello?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Grandma.
Yes, baby.
Okay.
Go ahead, Flavius.
Hello? I don't hear anybody.
Yes, Flavius, go ahead.
Yes, Edward, what do you need?
We just want to make some arrangements for interviews tomorrow.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so, we will be on from about 9:15 your time.
Very good. So we have some people here ready to do some interviews.
Okay. If you send us the names and the contact, and then we can just shell it out.
Okay, so James and Pablo, I'm sure, would be ready. And then I have to give Sister Lydia some background information.
Yeah. That would be great.
Okay, brother.
Oh, man, just send this information. If we send it now, then we can just, schedule it tonight, and then tomorrow morning we just jump at it.
All right, we'll follow.
Start at 9:15 your time, yeah.
Very good.
Right after what did you know we start with you.
All right, brother. All right, sister.
Okay, great.
Over and out.
Yeah, man, no problem.
Yes, I just stopped the recording on Facebook and I stopped the recording on Zoom as well.
Good. Yeah, I had a class to deal with one of my classes. Sorry, I'm good now. Sister Lydia, we always appreciate my teacher. Always appreciate your critical eye, critical observation. So we want to make, do right. And Sister Carol, I like how you jumped into this morning and helped us out. Yes.
It is my duty. And I'm glad that my duty is my pleasure.
Very much appreciated. Very much appreciated, sister. Yes. Miss Hazel Mahim Williams, hello, I see you there. Welcome and good night. It's been a long day, I imagine.
Yes, exceedingly long, but enjoyable, especially the music.
Thank you. Thanks to Brother James there. He's a musical enthusiast.
I realize that.
His own music.
Oh, yes.
I love it.
Is.
He was even dancing to his own music.
Oh, yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Pablo, thanks for jumping in. We're preparing for April to go to his home, Honduras.
Yes, that's 46 communities in Honduras, all around the Caribbean coast.
That's quite a powerful video that Leland, powerful.
Yes.
My goodness.
She wants, if you have some suggestions for us, she wants us to sell, and then part of the proceeds would come to the Garifuna Nation. So anybody who can help me set that up, I would very much appreciate it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Give us a little more information about that and what that would require.
Yeah, I think Pablo, we're going to put it on, so we are redoing our website, right, Pablo?
Yes, we are. We're going to put a link. It'll be a tab. on the website in which persons could view the
And we'll come back
clip.
to figure out what more to do.
All right. Very good.
Yeah, it could be purchased. I think they still have DVDs, or you could stream it for fee, or you could purchase it as well and download it.
Yeah, she said she gave us a price for us. I think $5, something like that. Yeah, I remember when she started doing that video, there was a lot of controversy. You're on mute, Sister Lydia. Sister Lydia, you're on mute.
Right, yes, sorry. The journey continues because the more she learns of who we are and so much of the background history, then she can have a fuller presentation in whatever she develops. You know, it's like a journey revisited, something like that, as a sequel to what she started with.
Yes, yes.
Because the initial one, for instance, the Garinagos in Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua were not even there. It was just a statement, and she jumped into Belize. How on her head? But that is not her fault. You know, so I'm glad that she was able to revisit and further develop that story which she started.
Yes. I'm glad you're it was powerful. You know, every time I watch it, I'm shaken up. Yeah.
Oh, me too. Oh my gosh. I ended up revisiting Basilao again today.
Oh wow. Yeah, but it's so
I ended up doing that, and that one.
They say the island is up for sale, and we want to come up with a fight.
No, we have to fight that. We have to fight that. You can, when you speak to my daughter,
yes,
please bring that up with her, because she really wants you to define what is it that you really want for this. What do you really want to do? Because she says each of the positions you take has underlying questions and requirements.
Yes.
And she says it's not as simple as it appears. It really requires a lot of background study, and you have to define precisely what you mean and what it is that you are looking to do. But if it is reclaiming territory as part of us as an indigenous people of the Americas, then that is a goal by itself, and it has to be pursued accordingly. Because each of these, she says, comes with a protocol that speaks to that which your objectives are. She had me all over the place. When I couldn't answer, she said, "Mommy, but that's not like you. You usually know what you're talking about."
Yeah, the big project is reparations, right? And I think it comes under that umbrella. I think Professor Hilary Beckles from the University of the West Indies, Vice Chancellor, is leading that component in curriculum. And what we, the Garifuna Nation, need to do is define our case within those as a subset. Even though our history is not one of slavery, it is a result of slavery, which ended up in genocide, right? The greed and so on. So the more I listen to the Dr. Beckles, they have done the work. They know the farmers who benefit from the payment from the colonial masters after the end of slavery. They know the families, where the bank account is. And